Yes, hello. Hi, everybody. My name's Life. I've been covering Wuthering Waves since time immemorial. Basically,
Let me fix that. Guys,
oh, the
can you
mic's
hear
not
me
coming
now?
through?
Can you hear me now? You can hear life, but not me. Sorry, guys. How's this?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Thank you,
So
thank you. It's
that,
every time we do something with Discord, having people on, then OBS goes. "Wow." Anyway, hello, I'm Amanda. This is Life. Life, please continue introducing yourself.
okay, awesome. Yeah, so hello, everybody. My name's Life. I've been here since, like I said, day one, really. Um, and with that being the case, I have, seen the game in all of its iterations as long as it was possible since CBT one, CBT two, and then live. I've been covering it, doing lore. I'm just a big fan of those sort of things. My mother, when I was growing up, she's a teacher, English teacher, and whenever we would watch shows, movies, whatever, read a book, one of the things she would always ask me is, "What did you learn? What did you get out of it?" And so that is kind of like part of what inspired this thing for me, where whenever I'm like playing a game or watching an anime or what have you, I'm always curious, like, what is being said. So that's kind of what started my excitement about just like lore as well as stories. So yeah.
That's so cool. And guys, you sent in, I have to repeat this because sorry, you couldn't hear me before. You sent in some amazing law questions. We probably can't answer all of them today, but we'll answer as many as we have time for. And we might just have to do it again another time. Or maybe Life will make some more videos on his channel where he will answer some of those questions more in depth. Or maybe he already has. He will let us know if he's already made a whole video on any of these topics. So today we're doing Law and Explore, which we've done before. And really it is just I will be asking Life the questions that you sent in one at a time. He will explain them far better than I could ever dare to. And in the meantime, I will be continuing some exploration. So for those of you who like having something visual to watch while you are getting some great lore, this is for you. This is the concept. I hope that makes sense. We're not exploring together in co-op. No, actually, that could have been kind of fun. But I don't even know if we're on the same server because I'm on the European ones and I'm guessing you're on the American ones.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know how that
so
works
yeah, so I
either.
don't think we
I think
can.
it's possible, but maybe
Okay.
another time.
Maybe another time. Yeah. That's not today. Today will just be me derping and Life explaining. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Well, are you happy for me to just give you the first question that was sent in?
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
I mean, because I feel like we've got some spicy ones today.
Ah, nice.
Am I should I just throw you in the deep end with the obvious one? So inquiring minds want to know. What do you think about the Yangyang is the Grand Architect theory? Is there any
Okay.
credence in the game for this, right?
Got it. Got it. Okay, so everybody, you all are just y'all want Yangyang to just be bad so badly. Um or does that mean if Yangyang is the GA, does that mean the GA is no longer bad? Maybe that's the logic,
Oh,
right?
that's a good point. That's a good point.
So this is the thing. I'm going to tell you all, it's in short, the cycle of my thought process around this, right? Um, at first, I was like, what in the world? Why? Where are you getting this? It makes no sense. And then I heard the logic behind it. People were basically saying that, oh, it's because that in this note, in 3.3, there's this statement where they say, and this is also catching anybody who's not heard the logic behind the theory up as well. So in the note, it's like, oh, it shows Rover waking up for the first time. You see Yang Yang and you see Chisha. And in the note, it says, we shall call him or her Rover, because obviously, depending on which Rover you have.
Yeah.
And so essentially, what people took from that was, oh, the Grand Architect is basically naming Rover in this note. And Yang Yang is the one who actually said that originally. She's the one who said, let's call you Rover.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you how I originally took this, and I believe Amanda had a similar interpretation as well. Originally, I just took it as, let's just say Rover's name is John, right? Well, the Grand Architect knew Rover way before the memory loss. So it could be the case that, they had a little internal meeting and they're like, let's just say if the Grand Architect wasn't Yangyang, they're watching the scene play out. Yangyang says, how do you like Rover? And John, Rover, says, sure. And so then the Grand Architect is like dialing up everybody. He's like, hey, everybody. Yeah, John, we're calling John Rover now. It's just like for the time being. Because if you actually look at the note, it says for the time being.
Yeah.
We will call them Rover.
Yeah.
Not forever, but for the time being. So that was my original thing. Okay. I was just like, I think this is just them it's a categorization statement.
Yeah.
As time progressed, I got some more information. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things being that the Grand Architect seems to really like to write notes, right?
Yeah.
Like they like to write notes and things of that nature. And one interesting thing that somebody had brought up is that Yangyang doesn't really communicate with us via the wave lines.
Right? No, she writes.
She writes.
Yeah.
She doesn't communicate through the wave lines. She writes. Why doesn't she just use a cell phone? Why is she, essentially acting like our grandma, where she's just, just writing us stuff, right? Unless she's like, like tinfoil hat theory, and she's like, I don't trust wave lines because people are,
Yeah. People are listening in.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that was an interesting idea. And there's a couple other ones, like how exactly did she get out of Scar's sonorosphere? If it has to be broken from the inside and the outside. Okay. And once I thought about that a little bit more, I was like, okay, wait a second. This is getting kind of, there's some logic behind this. And I'm like, okay, you know what? So this is what I'm going to say. I still do not believe that Yangyang is the GA personally, but I think it is a very interesting theory. I will, however, tell you all this. I do think that there is something about Yangyang that needs to be investigated. Mm-hmm. Whether they are explicitly the GA is another story. Okay, this will be my theory. Maybe Yangyang has connections to the Fraxidus, potentially.
Right. Yeah.
But isn't explicitly the GA. That is where I personally will park my my lore theory brain for this point in time. And the last thing is that in the anniversary, if you go in game, and I said this to you last time we had a conversation, Amanda.
Maybe I can.
If you go in, you can find the motorbike for the anniversary that has all the little cubes on it.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a very interesting cube on the side where male Rover is at the front end of the bike where the wheels are. And if you look very closely, it looks just like Yangyang.
Trying to see if I can find it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll wait so you can find that.
I'm trying to remember where it is that you see the anniversary skin.
Yeah, Chad, can you help Amanda find that? That would actually be perfect.
Yeah, let me try and find it, because I'm trying to figure out if it's under the skins or if it's under the events.
Of course, you got the Resident Evil one first.
Yes, of course. Okay, so I think this is the one.
There it is.
Yeah. Right, so this is the female Rover one.
It's the fourth one, yeah.
And then this is trying to zoom in. This is the one you mean, I think.
Okay. All right, so, yep, we have that. And I'm a little bit delayed, so that's why.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. I see it now. Yeah, so basically, you see Yangyang on female Rover's back, right? She's the only Jinzhou character on the entire bike. So that's already interesting, right? The only female character, Jinzhou character on the entire bike. Everybody else is from 2.0. Because 2.0 and 3.0, because it's the second anniversary, so all characters involved in the second year of the game, which are, Renacita characters and Lahairo characters. However, if you go to the other side and you look at the front wheel with on the Rover side, you will see a very interesting character. cube. And originally I thought this might be like Carlotta or something, right? I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, it's just Carlotta. But then I looked closer and I noticed that on the forehead, the same tacit mark,
Yes.
this same tacit mark exists that Yangyang has. And I was actually shocked. I was genuinely like, I was stunned for like a hot minute during that
Yeah.
stream when I had figured that out and found it. And so there's something going on,
Yeah.
and the devs are trying to show us that there's something going on. I believe if that is Yangyang, which it very much looks like Yangyang. Somebody said that's Frolova covered like Yangyang. Frolova's on
For Lova's
Rover's
hair.
shoulder.
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
So it's not her.
So yeah, that's what I can say for right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, hopefully, I think it's a really cool theory. This is where I am on the theory, and so yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's pretty valid, and we talked about it as well in a stream together on your channel. Whether what we thought about that, and I also, when that happened in 3.3, I just assumed as well that the Fraxidus were listening in, and so it wasn't so much that she is the Grand Architect necessarily, but just that they were like, okay, yeah, we'll go with that, like codename Rover, right? That's what we're calling this person now because that's what other people are going to be calling them. And I figured, if the Fraxidus do know Rover's original name or a previous name that they might have had before they were Rover,
John and Jane Wuthering.
yeah, if they knew that they were John and Jane Wuthering and they didn't want that information to be passed around to willy-nilly, then it would make sense that they're like, well, everyone's going to be calling this person Rover, so let's do that as well, right? Like that just made sense to me. But it's good to hear your thoughts on it because I trust that if there was any clue in this game, then you would have found it. So yeah, we'll have to see, guys.
For sure.
Okay, so going back to some of the questions, I think that pertains to maybe the most recent content. A few people asked, can you explain what is the Stridergate exactly? What is it?
That is a really good question. I don't know. I'm just playing.
Oh no.
No. Oh no. No, that's a great question. What is the Stridergate exactly? That is a question that I was genuinely curious about myself, and I actually had some debates with multiple people about what the Stridergate was.
Yeah.
Because there were people who were like, "Oh, the Stridergate, it's like some, Stargate sort of giant, metallic structure of some sort, just kind of like out of a sci-fi movie or series." And I was like, I don't think so. And the thing that I was going to go to actually, and if you could pull this up.
Yeah.
If you can go to the cutscene from gosh, the cutscene where Rover it shows like at the very end. Rover is like falling from the sky and Imith is basically like helping the extra Strider seal Aleph 1.
Yes. Where is it that you find the cutscenes? Where is that?
I would say the simplest way you could do that is maybe go to 3.1. I want to say, does Wuthering Waves have that as a cinematic?
Is it in the gallery?
I don't think you can find it in the gallery per se. I'm gonna see 3.1 cinematic Journey Well.
Oh, you mean finding it on YouTube, not like on not in the game?
Yes.
Okay,
I think
let me see it.
I'm just checking real quick to see if this cutscene is the right cutscene. Oh, nope, that's not it.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I think just type in 3.1, Wuthering Waves 3.1. There's a couple like, not live streams. There's a couple of playthroughs, CG Inferno, Streetwise, Rhapsody. Those are like the two big ones. They should show up as soon as you type in 3.1.
Okay.
And if you go to let's
see.
Here we go. 3 hours and 49 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
You say 3 hours?
I'm looking at it right now, actually.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah, so the 3 hour, if we're on Streetwise Rhapsody.
Yeah.
3 hours and 49 seconds. Um, Actually, my bad. Maybe even a little bit before that. But it's basically the part where the Exo Strider is getting. Yep, here it is. 3 hours, 48 seconds, 48 minutes, 24 seconds.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go. 3 hours, 48 minutes, 24 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna
We
get
got
that
it.
up and share it so that people can see that.
Cool.
One
Um,
sec. Oh,
Take your time. But basically, I'll explain the answer while you're looking it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, the Stridergate, if you notice, it's basically like on the ground because we see the Exostrider is getting pulled inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like some mechanical structure. It simply is essentially the simplest explanation is it's kind of like a Stargate.
Yeah.
Yeah, wormhole. I see somebody said Reese Salem Jones. Yeah, essentially, yeah, it's essentially kind of like a wormhole. It's a portal. Think about when the Grand Architect and the Fraxidus, you know that tacit mark portal that shows up and they always go in and out of it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's basically like that.
Okay.
And we saw this in 3.3 actually. So did you find it by the way?
Yeah, it's on now.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So in 3.3 we actually saw it as well. If you were to go to like I said once again Streetwise
Yeah.
Rhapsody, and I actually think if we go to let's do that because this will I think a couple questions will
Yep.
probably be answered by just looking at this scene right here. Um, and it is, let's see, the part right before Rover fights Aleph 1. Let's see here. Oh, actually, no, it's not the part right before. It's the part when Rover first goes into
Oh,
activate the Exostrider.
was it 3.3 and not 3.1? You meant we were watching
Oh, no, yeah,
3.1.
that's what I'm saying. So now
Ah,
we changed to 3.3.
okay, okay, okay. So now we changed it.
Yep.
Okay, I gotcha. All
And you
right.
can go to 1 hour and 35 minutes, 50 seconds, Streetwise Rhapsody's
Mm-hmm.
video. And we'll probably be here for a little bit based on
Okay.
some of the questions because this
So
whole scene, there's a lot of questions surrounding it. So
gotcha.
yeah, but that's the simple answer for the thing. Um, and like I said, if you let that play out, you'll see Rover takes out the sword and then ends up in the Demir Plains.
1 second. You said 1 hour and
You could do 1 hour, 36 minutes,
36
4
minutes.
seconds, or
All
whatever.
right, I
Just
see, I
yeah.
see. Yeah. Okay.
You'll see the Exostriders walking up to the gate.
Yeah, I see it. All right.
Awesome. So if you let that play out, you're gonna see the Strider gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's been unlocked, and then the Exostrider swipes its sword, and then
Yep,
boom, at
that's what
like
we're getting.
136:13,
Yeah.
you see kind of like a tacit mark sort of thing
Yeah.
portal.
Yeah.
That's the Strider gate. Like
Mm.
that's what it is. The the keystone was two things. It was apparently a lock because the Strider gate's kind of like a door,
Yeah.
right? So the keystone was basically locking the door, but it was not the Strider gate
Right.
itself.
I
So
see.
that is what the Strider gate is.
Right, yeah. I'll just show that again while you continue explaining so people can see it again.
No problem. And I know some people were curious about how did Rover get from one place to the other? Like how did the Exostrider go from the Icelands to the Demir Plains? So this place appears to be something like a sonorosphere, right? Because in the Demir Plains, where the heart vein, the Solvan Heartwood, hopefully I'm saying that right, but basically the big tree,
Yeah.
um, there's like a portal on the inside of it, right? And then you go into the portal and you end up in this space.
Yeah.
And so because it's a portal that actually gets you there, I'm pretty sure the Exostrider can just go there whenever it wants
Yeah, okay.
via another portal. So you wake up in the Frostlands, create a port. Now, obviously they didn't show this, but it's just the logic makes sense. Like probably it's in a sonorosphere. You can enter the sonorosphere via multiple entryways. We saw this actually in 3.2, where to get to the dark side of the Academy, there were multiple ways to get in.
Yeah.
And if this place belongs to the Extra Strider, it just makes sense that the Extra Strider probably just, you know, walked into, um, like, like I said, some sort of sonorosphere, and
Yeah.
then ends up in this little area, opens up the Stridergate, the opening to the Stridergate. Because the thing about it is, you don't want, like, you could ask yourself maybe like, why don't you just make another Stridergate where you are, right?
Mm.
Like in the Frostlands. Well, that would be very counterintuitive for a couple of reasons. One, because of the fact the whole issue that they're having right now is giving Aleph 1 multiple entryways into
Yeah.
Solars.
Yeah.
You don't want to open up a whole nother
Another one.
gate somewhere else. So that's why we go back to the one that we have sealed, and we go in via that way, because also, this goes with the whole Dusk Veil plan that they had, which was to essentially make Lahairoi a tomb. So if you had a Strider Gate above the Frostlands, yeah, it would just then the whole of Solaris 3 would have just been contaminated.
Right. Yeah. Which would have been pretty bad.
So yeah, that's extreme. So that's the logic, and that is what the Strider Gate is.
I see. Okay, well that makes kind of sense. That kind of makes sense. Yeah. Guys, ignore
Yeah,
my
it's just a
bite
portal.
skills. It's not about that. It's not about that. I was just crashing in the background as you were
Oh,
explaining
man.
there. Ignore that. Ignore that. Okay, well that is, I think, that makes a lot of sense to me, that is kind of what the Strider Gate is and how Rover was able to get to that space. So following on from that, I suppose, we fight Aleph 1 in this sort of red mech form.
Yes.
What was that about? Like, why would it take that form? Is that what it actually looks like? Or is that some kind of avatar? Or, did it choose that form to sort of match the Exostrider form? Or what is that about?
Okay, so this is gonna be really funny. But there's a really great way to answer this. So I'm gonna ask you to go in game and go to the description of this echo. Basically, the
Okay.
echo it's called Aleph 1's creation. Uh, and now explain the whole plot of a while. LOL. Video coming on that soon, believe it or not.
That's the fastest way to get
Video
there.
coming on that soon. But yeah, you can just let me know once you have it.
Yeah,
But
just trying to
the
scroll
description
around.
of this
I don't know if I have
is
it actually, because I don't know if I've unlocked it. Might.
okay. I can send it to you on Discord if you'd like.
Yeah, I might not, because I've only played it. I've not like redone that fight.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, so I probably don't have unlock it. Yeah, you need to kill
Okay,
Denia.
so
Which, I mean, I guess I
got
could
it.
go and do.
I mean, I guess theoretically, yeah, you have to fight Didier for it, but it's fine though. You don't have to do all that. I'll send you the picture.
Explain in the meantime.
Yeah,
Explain in the
I can just
meantime.
send you that. But basically, the description, um, this is what it says. Let's see, there you go. Boom. And I did send it to you. If it is possible
Yeah.
for you to open it up on Discord, that's possible too. But otherwise, a watcher from beyond the Strider Gate, born of Aleph 1's design. Before those who seek before those who seek answers, Aleph 1 projects the very boundary of the knowable. That which once opened the way to the future has now become something dark and dreadful beyond recognition. Now, at the scale of the cosmos, life and hope are only trivialities devoid of meaning. Everything is but a beginning without an end. Everything is but a pursuit in vain. So it's kind of crazy, because what this description is telling us is that the dark hole absorbing frequency ability thing is not actually the full extent of Aleph 1's power. Aleph 1 is actually more akin. Oh wow, you fat fingered your ultimate there.
Right.
Okay, nice, you got it.
Yeah, we got it. I'm just gonna open
Aleph
it.
1. Yeah, Aleph 1 is more akin to, if let's think about Naruto, for example, Kakashi, or just any character who's a copycat, basically. Aleph 1 essentially has the ability to it's almost like respond with the power of, I don't want to say imagination, but like it basically Uno reverses.
Yeah.
It's like if this thing is if you have like this concept in your head, it's like I'm going to create the void version of it. And so that's why it's saying, like, before those who seek answers, Alpha One projects the very boundary of the knowable. So it basically responds to people's desires or whatever.
That makes sense.
And so yeah, that's essentially what it does. And so the red mech was basically it Uno reversing the Exostrider.
That makes
it's
sense.
It's like I'm gonna create the void version. It's you notice the void worms in Lahiroi.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they are. It took the parts, the exoswarm, right? Because there were exoswarm parts, the rib cage and all this other stuff all around Lahiroi, and it contaminated them with void matter and basically just made its own version of an exoswarm. That's what the void worm is.
That makes sense. I think that it copies kind of what already is there, but it makes its like own version of it.
Yep. So yeah, that's what that was about, because you have to remember the Exostrider is invulnerable to void matter. So Alpha One's not going to be able to just, use its little tendrils, little grabby things, tiny hands, It's not going to be able to use its tiny hands to mess with the Exostrider. So it had to create a way to engage with it from a physical perspective.
Okay, see, we had to go to gallery to find it. See, I just don't know where these things are.
Oh no, yeah, it is a little.
It's not
it is
something I normally look up. I'm not a lore content creator, guys. Okay, but here, yes, this is what we were trying to get to. Okay, yes.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, it says it projects the very boundary of the knowable.
Makes sense.
And yeah, like that's essentially that's how it works. It just said I need to interact physically. Just like Leviathan. Leviathan did not have the ability to interact physically. Now, mind you, it could affect people's thoughts, and that's what it did. But in order to interact physically, it had to get, unfortunately, Mia's corpse.
Yeah. It needed a physical form. Well, that makes a lot of sense, because I think that also answers the question then. Now that we've sort of banished Aleph 1, will it still be a threat? And I'm guessing the answer to that is going to be like, yes, it's not gone. It's not defeated. It's just elsewhere.
Unequivocally so. And Armith says it herself as much. She's like, we didn't take it out forever, but it's gone far, far away for right now.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I guess speaking of this battle between Rover and Aleph 1 in these sort of mech forms, where does that take place? Do you have any
Okay.
I know that's a big one, but where is that? Because it kind of looks, people were saying it sort of looks like it's on the surface of a moon, right? And so
yeah,
is it?
This is a can of worms.
Okay.
This is such a can of worms.
Okay.
So everybody get your popcorn.
Okay.
Like genuinely, I'm just telling you right now, if you are watching this, get some water, get a healthy snack, because we're in it. The reason why this is such a crazy, a big question, it ties into so many different things. I'll probably end up making a video, making a very
I think you
solid
should.
way of giving you all this information. But just for the sake of right now, whew. Okay, where were we fighting?
Yes.
My theory is that we were fighting on Solaris's moon.
Okay, so I'm trying to see if I can see the moon right now. I can't because I'm inside a cave. But okay.
So that's the crazy thing. You wouldn't even be able to. So I have a question. Have you seen the Cyberpunk trailer?
Yes, I have.
All right. At the end of the Cyberpunk trailer, our main man Stan says that Lucy really wants to go to the moon. One little problem, though. Which one?
Yeah.
Because there are multiple.
Yes.
And so based on this logic, like I said, if you're anywhere in the world, you'll see there's all these different moons. So if you go to Jinzhou or something, you'll see that there's a moon there. There's technically like 2 moons in Gen 2, it seems. Um, so that's already kind of like crazy as it is. Um, but the whole logic behind this is this. The reason why I believe that is because now this is the thing that everybody remembers. Like everybody historically remembers this idea of the Lunite description in game, right? The description of the Lunite in game, and I'll just read it off for everybody. Lunite is the non free to play currency.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
But also
so
Lunites, it's in the name, right?
yeah, exactly, lunar. And so everybody, whenever we talk about the moon, everybody wants to bring up the description for Lunite. Um, And like I said, that description is within the changing Lunite lies a treasure known as truth. Perhaps it reveals everything about the past and the future. Well, actually, that's the type. My bad. So that's part of it. The other part, and actually, I could probably more easily find it this way. The other part of it talks about the fact that the moon that we currently have is basically shattered. That the
Right,
moon
yeah.
was shattered, and the moon being shattered, what we currently see are mirages of the past.
Right, yeah. So these are not like the real moons.
Yeah, we're seeing a mirage of the past. However, with that being said, this has led a lot of people to feel like there's no moon at all. Okay. Now, the first thing that I have to say is if you go to my channel, there is a video. It is the most popular video on my channel, actually. Um, so technically, it's like the first thing that people will see, I believe, if they are not subscribed. Which I mean, why would anybody here not be
Why would you
subscribed?
not
Am
be
I right?
subscribed, right?
Like,
Go and subscribe if
couldn't
you're
be
not.
me. But yeah, so on it's how she connects everything in Wuthering Waves. So the reason why it's so important, I would highly recommend if you have not watched this video, please do watch it. I go in a lot more depth about this discussion regarding the moon, but beyond just that, and I actually have a few videos. I have a playlist, which is like the simplest thing that I usually do. I just tell people like just check out the playlist. But how she connects everything and Wuthering Waves and why it matters. So in this video, I explain both in this video and the following video on the playlist, which is regarding Abby, because Abby actually is playing a pretty huge role in all this. Um, if you noticed, when we were fighting LF1, we did not see. Gosh, there's so many implications. We didn't see Solaris, right? You didn't see a planet, correct? In the fight against LF1.
Yeah.
And so the reason why is because I think we were on the opposite side of the moon. The opposite, the side that's not facing Solaris, but the side facing away from Solaris.
Right.
There's this really funny thing called Dreaming Deep.
Yes.
And
Oh,
this
we know Dreaming Deep.
is, yes, we all know Dreaming Deep. If you don't know what Dreaming Deep is, it is a game mode that is basically, how do I put it? It's like a vault. It's a vault of mysteries. There's a lot of reading though.
Yeah.
And in Dreaming Deep, and like I said, check out the video. But in Dreaming Deep, there is a discussion that mentions the concept that a civilization was on Solaris at a point where there was no moon at all. No moon existed.
Okay.
And this civilization created a moon.
Right.
I believe that the moon they created, this goes back to the timeline
Yeah.
of questions of Wuthering Waves. I believe the moon that they created was probably the moon after the first moon got destroyed.
Okay. Right. So it's kind
And
of like a
so,
new moon.
yeah, it's simply a new moon. But
Like
because
moon two.
if enough time passes, because clearly these people had never seen a moon in their lifetime,
Right. Yeah.
So if enough time passes, they're probably just like, oh yeah, no moon exists or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they decided to create a moon. There's a lot of stuff in that. Like I said, Dreaming Deep is one part lore, another part mystery. And we're still trying to figure out a lot of stuff around that. But the reason why that's important is because this created moon, obviously if you're creating a moon, then it's probably going to be like technologically, like kind of like think about a Death Star from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it's probably just like one giant machine
Right.
in the sky.
Yeah.
And the reason why they created it, like I said, I'll leave that for the video. But the big details about this is that at the end, we saw the character from Edge Runners, David, on what essentially is a moon.
Yeah.
Here are the implications, okay?
Okay.
I think that the universe of Solaris is kind of dead.
Okay.
I actually, or the galaxy. The galaxy that Solaris 3 exists in is dead. Because I believe the fight that we just had was us fighting on the real moon.
Okay.
But if we were fighting on the real moon, then that means that Aleph 1 was in the galaxy of Solaris.
Yes.
There's a lot of implications behind this.
Okay.
It basically says to us, it can't go into the planet on its own. Why do you think it can't go into the planet on its own?
I don't know. I guess it needs something that it doesn't have. That we have.
Is there anything you can think of that might be blocking its entryway into the planet?
What, the etheric sea?
Bingo. Could the etheric sea be both a curse and a blessing at the same time?
Yeah,
Rover
that
is
would be
hilarious. Ultra, that is hilarious. Rover. Like what's blocking it from getting it? Rover.
But that would be really cool if it was both, like a barrier that means we can't leave, but also things like that can't get in.
I mean, because if that is the same moon, if that is the moon, right?
Yeah.
And now the question is, well, why do we think that moon is the moon near Solaris? Why can't that be some moon from farther away that it like blinked to? Like the Stridergate, like, maybe it came from Rover's home civilization. Mm-hmm. It opens up a Stridergate and then it pops up, right outside of Solaris 3 or something, right? Or it pops up, it pops up inside of Solaris 3, right? That would be like, why can't it just, it leaves the home planet, it gets out into space, opens the Stridergate, and then it shows up in Lahiroi, right? The reason why that doesn't work is because, do you remember the thing that the Exo Strider gave us at the very end?
What? What, of 3.3?
Cassette tape frequency.
Oh, right.
That frequency that it collected.
Yeah.
Was from, and we go into a little cassette burning room and then we hear the sounds of the universe.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
Yep. How did it get that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It could, so the logic is it had to be traveling. Mm-hmm. It didn't just portal straight from the Rover's planet all the way to Solaris 3. It had to be traveling.
Yeah.
And it found the probe that they sent out.
Yes.
In its travels. So this basically is telling us that it was not like portaling from one planet to the other. It traveled. And then it might be barred from getting into Solaris as well. Through the etheric sea. And that's why it created a Stridergate. Because it's been taking multiple trips. And so it's just like, okay, I flew through space just like we did when we were piloting the Exo Strider the first time.
Yeah.
We were flying through space. And then it gets close enough. It's seemingly, maybe on the moon or something. And then teleports inside of the etheric sea barrier.
Yes.
So that would tell me that Aleph 1 was fighting us on the moon outside of outside of Solaris 3. And that means that if it was doing that, if there was, Hiyuki told us that Aleph 1 is drawn to humans. That's all it seems to care about.
Yes.
Why would it be trying so hard to get into Sol 3 if there were other humans in the same galaxy as them?
Yeah, why not go to them then instead? Easier target.
Exactly.
It's a good question.
I think the whole universe is dead.
Yeah.
Or not universe, sorry, galaxy.
Right.
Universe is a big term.
Solaris 3 might be the only thing left.
In their galaxy, at the very least.
Okay. Yeah, that's suddenly bleak.
Now you see why I said there's
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
implications?
I mean, that would be an interesting one for sure.
And the moon that we were fighting on, I believe, might be the moon that Dreaming Deep discusses.
Okay.
That was put in the sky by seemingly an older civilization. But like I said, just check out the video if you want to get some of the information. I talk about that as well as the space lady and some of that stuff too. But that's where I am right now.
Okay.
On this. It's
a complex
it's kind of
topic.
wild.
It's a good
Yeah, it
video as
is.
well, and I did link it in the chat in the meanwhile. So like, you know, if someone wants to go and check that out, there is no excuse not to find it. It's genuinely a great video. I do recommend it. So do you think that the Court of Savantae could have built this location? Do you think they could have had a hand as well in building that moon or that base that we were? You don't think so? Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So this kind of gets into like the conversation around the court and like what their whole purpose kind of is.
Yeah.
The Court of Savantae they're knowledge seekers in short,
Yes.
right? Their goal is to seek knowledge. They want to understand the world. This makes sense considering the Grand Architect was likely part of the Court of Savantae at one point in time, is my theory.
Yeah.
If you go to my last video, actually, well, second to last, because the last video I had this like really cool collaboration with this really cool person. You probably had never heard of them, but they're really cool. If you go to my last big lore video, it's the philosophy of Wuthering Waves' greatest villain. And you see Navarro on the thumbnail. I said, highly encourage you all once the live stream is over,
go and check all these
If you have not seen it, feel free to check it out. Just like I said, the whole playlist, it's really good. You will not be disappointed. If you're disappointed, I have to recite Dreaming Deep in Japanese.
Right. Okay.
I'll have to recite the entirety of Dreaming Deep in Japanese if somebody's disappointed in the
I
lore
will
playlist
hold you
I
to
made.
that. We all heard it, so.
So basically, I kind of touch on some of it in this video with my theory, why I believe that the Grand Architect was a part of the Court of Savantae. Their goals definitely align. And I mean, to be honest, even in current day, as far back as like 1.0, we know that the abandoned Court of Savantae lab in Jinzhou was being funded by a Fraxinus overseer. So that already tells us there is connection between these two organizations. Now, mind you, it's not saying that the entire Court of Savantae is like, you know, oh, they're all bad people. What I'm saying, because even that branch was actually kicked out.
Yeah.
They were like exiles because they were doing more extreme stuff than the Court of Savantae wanted to do. But I do believe that the Grand Architect in the past was actually a member of the Court of Savantae. So what do they want to do?
Yeah.
They want to understand the world. They want to seek knowledge. And the reason why I don't believe that they built the moon is because if you noticed in Jinzhou, they were very fascinated about this civilization. So much so that they were trying to, you know, recreate Retroact Rain. They were trying to recreate essentially a god, as they described it. And that's what we end up getting as the mechanical abomination in the bottom of the lab.
Yeah.
That was like the result of their attempt, which has a lot of other implications, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Okay.
But there's like, I've been going crazy because like there's just so many cool things that like when you put the pieces together, when you put the pieces together, things, it gets really cool. But like I said, they were trying to recreate these things from this lost civilization.
Yeah.
Right? And we've been seeing this throughout the entire game. There's a really cool character that nobody's ever heard of named Shang Liao.
Yep. I wish I had heard of him, but
I know, right? I really do hope we go back. I feel like he's definitely gonna come back in the story. He's a very important character. Oh yeah, it's in the bird's mouth. It's in the bird's mouth.
it's in the bird's mouth. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I'm
I
kind
when
of
I
listening
heard
and
it screaming first mouth,
absentmindedly doing this.
and I was like, wait a second, what? I was like, where is it coming from? I was like, no shot, it's in its mouth. That was a really fun detail. Um, but yeah, so Shang Liao's father
Mm-hmm.
was an incredibly brilliant researcher, and he actually, I think it's possible he found a way to get to Rover's home planet.
Right.
Um, or at the very least the ends of the universe or something like that, the other side of the universe.
Oh, so he
Um,
wasn't from Solaris 3? Shang Liao's
no, he
father?
was,
Okay.
but he doing his own research
Right.
alongside the Court of
I
Savantae, so
see.
forth, so on. Um, they basically found a way to get out of Solaris 3.
Okay. I see.
Not use it because obviously
Yeah.
the XC blocks their
Yeah,
ability to
but
get
they
out.
theoretically found the way.
Well, yeah, so apparently they did, and Shang Liao saw it happen. I think is if you read his character story, I think he saw it happen, but he chose not to go.
I see.
But then as he got older, he started to research like the ruins and things of that nature. So the big thing is, I believe that this ancient civilization specifically, I mentioned that in that video, the first video I told you all about how she connects everything. That civilization is called the He civilization,
Yeah.
and this civilization is a civilization that's literally mentioned one time in the entire game, by name. A very specific spot, like I said, I mentioned it in the video, but I think that the moon was likely built by them. That's my
Yeah.
logic currently.
Okay.
There could be another ancient civilization as well that we don't know about, but right now, the one that we know about is the He, and so I believe that they are the ones who put that moon there. That's my
Okay.
current
You think the Hess
position on it.
civilization did it rather than Court of Savantae? Okay. I like
Correct.
it. I like it. And I feel like if I'm not wrong, you have a whole video, don't you, where you kind of get into more about the Hess civilization, or is
Yeah,
that
it's
this? It's
the how she connects everything.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I figured. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. There's another question that I actually think is a good one.
Okay.
In again going back to the sort of finale of 3.3, why was the replica reactor drive weaker when Helios was stronger than the original?
Got you. Okay, that's a really good question. So weaker is an interesting
Yeah, or
turn of
you know what I
phrase. There.
mean, like
So no, yeah, for sure. It's so you ever like so personal story. Me and Miss Life have been health maxing lately. So we have been improving like a lot of different things. We're like focusing on getting enough fiber, which I would highly recommend everybody in chat to consider your fiber intake because fiber
getting
is like
that
one of the
fiber,
most slept
guys.
on things like that anybody does. Quite literally, this is for you all. You will thank me later. Fiber is
Fiber.
so
Laura
important, and most of
salad,
us
guys.
don't consume enough fiber. Laura's salad, exactly. Eat your Laura salad, folks.
Yep.
But yeah, so we've been like health maxing fiber, getting better sleep, focusing on that. Exercise, all these, getting enough steps in. This is why sometimes you'll see me. I'm not doing it right now. I probably should, honestly, but you'll see me on stream walking on my treadmill while I'm streaming. And the reason why I'm saying that is because oftentimes, like if I were to go back to the for a doctor's appointment, like a checkup, and they're like, "Oh yeah, your blood pressure's doing better, and your what have you, what I'm saying, like your vitamin levels are better, and you're doing all these things," and it's like, so what changed? And then my answer would be, honestly, I changed a lot of stuff. Yeah, fiber's good for digestion and a bunch of other stuff. But the reason why is because it's kind of hard to point to one exact thing
Yeah.
because there's so many different things that we improved. And the human-made reactor drive heart, there are a lot of variables,
Right.
right? So what are the variables? Back when the Exostrider had a heart, which was the reactor drive when it was
Yeah.
fighting off LF1, all it could do was push it out and seal the gate. It couldn't actually like fight toe to toe, even though, because at that time it had the pseudo resonance of an overclocked IMyth, right?
Yes. Yeah.
This time it had Rover and now full blown Exostrider resonator at this point full-blown Exostrider Resonator, and Rover, and the
Yes.
heart, all three combined. So it's like, which one do we point to say which is which? But I
Yeah.
think the real question behind that question is because of the fact this heart is not the other heart seemed to have been like an eternal heart,
Yes.
where it was built by some crazy technology that, you know, like even the Exostratus itself said that, you know, it's self repairs, right? So why is it that the Helios is so much stronger than the reactor drive's sun, whereas the human made reactor drive is not as like I said, I don't want to use the word strong, but not
Yeah.
as durable.
Powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing, the reactor drives first, it served two purposes. Its first purpose was quite literally just to be the heart for the Exostrider.
Yeah.
The sun function was quite literally just like it radiates heat and light energy. So it just worked out as a sun, but that was not its main function.
I
So
see.
because that was more of a secondary function, creating Helios, which its only function was to be a sun, makes sense that it would technically be stronger because that's its literal only purpose is to be a sun. The reactor drives, that was not its first
Right.
purpose. The second purpose obviously was being a heart, and once again, this heart, right? You could honestly say it's a buff because with this heart, it's able to talk now.
Yeah.
It
It has new
got
functions.
superpowers. Like, you know, the spectro element thing that it got,
Yeah.
which I think is probably because of Rover, is my theory.
That makes sense. I could see that.
I think that's because you notice when iMyth essentially brings the heart to it, it's like is it defibrillator? Is that the right word? Like
Yeah.
shock
Yeah. I
your
see what
heart?
you mean. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of shocks it back
Like, boom.
into action, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it basically just woke up, and now all of its functions. This is kind of morbid, but Rover was basically piloting a corpse
Right.
before it had a heart, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why like all the veins lit up and all that stuff happened. Clear, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was basically doing that. Yeah, it got sentience, and it got sentience. I'm presuming it got sentience, because even now that they're gone, maybe it could still communicate after they hop out. But it said the human heart gave it a voice.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, you could say it's a buff.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing is, like I said, it's just not eternal because Solaris doesn't have the same type of technology to make this like self-healing. They haven't gotten that far yet
Right.
with their understanding of the Exostrider, the Exoswarm, and that technology yet. So it doesn't
Okay.
have its own little mini skins.
Okay, well, I think that's a good explanation for, again, like what was different this time around. It was so many factors coming together. It wasn't one thing that
Yeah, exactly.
that powered it. And I think that fits in really nicely with for me, certainly, it feels like there is a theme in Wuthering Waves of no one can do it alone. Like, even if they're very strong, like it always comes down to people working together and
Exactly.
helping each other, believing in each other, people making sacrifices, other people making the most of those sacrifices. I think that's just such a nice theme in a game where the characters are so powerful and the stakes are so high. I just think it's nice that it tends to come down to, again, the teamwork and the collaboration.
Yep, exactly.
So a question a lot of people asked actually was, where is the Sentinel that was supposed to be transported inside the Exostrider?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Hey, can I give a quick shout out
Yes.
as well? I just want to give a quick shout out to my homie Woo-Wah Lore Theorist. Definitely give him some love as well.
Yep.
He actually he collaborated with me on the How Everything is Connected video. I see him in the chat, so I just wanted to
Oh yeah.
give
Hey.
him a shout out. And like I said, you'll see it as well, like I said in the thing. But yeah, that's the homie. But yeah, so basically, where it happened to the Sentinel, all right? All I can really say right now is looking at you, Namipon. All I can say right now is it seems as though that Sentinel, I think the Sentinel is still around, just
Okay.
possibly in an undisclosed location at this point.
I see.
There's really not a lot of information. I've done some digging, and it just seems like it is a question in the game. So I think that is the best thing to know, is that it is technically a question in the game. And no, Aleph One did not eat it.
Aleph One
Uh,
ate it.
because you have to think about it. For one, the Exo Strider itself is immune to void matter,
Yeah.
right?
So
Like,
that wouldn't
so
have been.
anything inside of it, that's why Rover was okay.
Yeah,
The
because
first time Rover went through, he was fine. The second time is when he had to use the power of separation to try to separate the void matter off of himself. First time he was fine. So if it's carrying something inside of it, it was fine too.
right.
And once again, the first, like, the Exo Strider didn't even get taken all the way into void matter. Like, Imith came and stopped it from getting consumed. So it never actually was like fully absorbed anyway. So like, you could say it was damaged or something, maybe, like, because of the fight. That's a
Yeah.
logical thing. But the game does actually raise that question
Yeah. Where is it?
in the writings. And so because it does answer that question, um you know, I think that's something that we will get more information on in
Yeah.
the future.
Okay. Okay. I think that's a good enough answer for now. Say we'll probably get more information about that. We don't know yet. How big is the Exo Strider? Like, because it seems in scale, like when you see it fighting Aleph One, right? That seems
Yeah.
like it's pretty big. Like, not in inches, but like, what is your guesstimate? Like, how big is this? Is it bigger than
How
anything
big is
else?
it in freedom units?
Yeah.
18 billion bald eagles tall.
It seems like it's bigger than, you know, like we've seen things like Overthrax, but like it feels like it's very big. The Exo
Yeah.
Strider. Like,
Yeah, massively so. I mean, like, we don't really have a whole lot to compare it. Okay, so this is what I would say. If you were to think about the typical size of a moon, which this might not even be that helpful,
yeah. Well,
but
a moon is big. Let's
like,
just say that.
you could see it on a moon. I
Yeah.
think that's like the logic behind it. Like,
Yeah.
I think if people could look up and see, look
Something
up from
on the moon.
like on Solaris, and they could actually see the moon if it wasn't obscured.
Yeah.
They'd probably see the flashes from that fight.
Right.
Because of how
So
big it is.
pretty
Like,
big.
this thing is, I would, you know, oh my gosh, it's so big. Because I was gonna say, like, I was trying to think about like the highest scale point in the game, and I feel like the highest point in the game from a scale perspective is either the Alvarado Vault if you are at the very bottom near the water,
Right.
or like Jinzhou Mountain. I don't even think Jinzhou's Mountain is as big as this. Like, yeah, if you were at the top of the Alvarado Vault, the highest, I think that might be like the highest point in game, maybe.
Yeah, that is pretty tall. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you know what? I perfect example. I
Okay.
got it. You ready?
Yes.
The Exo Strider would look like the Colossal Titan if you were on the what is it called? Where Cartethyia was locked up. I'm blanking.
Yeah, Evanolium.
Avenolium, thank you.
Yeah.
If you were in the Avenolium, that
Yeah.
thing would look like the Colossal Titan.
Right.
Like, it would
Yeah.
actually, like, as high up as that thing is in the
Yeah,
sky,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
that thing would still tower over it.
I see.
So, like, that's about the closest I could get to explaining the scale. Like, just think, oh, I'm already super high in the sky.
Yeah.
I should be like at eye length with it. No, it's still towering over you. You're probably,
Right.
I'd argue, you're probably at that thing's like
Mm-hmm.
knees or somewhere between the knee and the waist or something like that.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's massive.
It's genuinely ridiculous.
Okay. And how strong
Yeah.
do you think it is then compared to the Sentinels? Because we were talking about where's the Sentinel that was supposed to be in it.
Oh.
So if the Exo Strider is meant to transport a Sentinel, how strong is the Exo Strider compared to the Sentinels? Is it equivalent? Is it stronger? Is it less strong? What do you think in terms of...
Say base form, weaker. The base form of the Exo Strider, if it doesn't have Imith, if it doesn't have Rover, if it's just by itself,
Yeah.
it's weaker.
Right.
And the reason why, now to be fair, Aleph 1 is an insanely strong threat of a Thernodia.
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
So it is a little harder to quantify. But I think, once again, base form, the reason why I'd say it's weaker base form is because Sentinels have the ability baked in to resonate.
Yes.
The Exo Strider does not.
Right.
Now, current Exo Strider, stronger.
Okay.
I'd argue it's currently stronger.
Right.
But that's because it got the buff
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
human heart, and which allowed it to resonate, and and all that. So current one, I'd say is probably stronger. Base form, probably I'd say weaker than the
Okay.
Sentinels themselves. Even though it is gigantic, if we're just talking about abilities and stuff, it was just a giant robot.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas like Jue could literally freeze time. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like control time.
yeah.
Like all these crazy powers and stuff that the Sentinels have. But like I said, currently with all its buffs and everything, I'd say it's probably like stronger slash on par. Because I mean, let's be real here. Let's look at Imperator, right?
Yeah.
Imperator beat Leviathan.
Yes.
Like it beat Leviathan the first time. Um, and so yeah, like I think we gotta put some respect on the Sentinel's name.
A little
Um,
bit.
you haven't really seen the Sentinels at full power because like Jue was already wounded pretty heavily when we found them, and
Yeah,
like I said, Imperator was just in the situation Imperator was in.
yeah,
After all the hostages and stuff that Leviathan took and such. So
yeah.
yeah, that would be my current thought on that.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I think it makes sense. I think it's interesting again to introduce a concept like the Exostrider that isn't really a sentinel, but it kind of serves an equivalent purpose in the story. But it's a different
Yeah.
thing rather than just giving us, oh, here's a new region and here's the sentinel and here's the sentinel's resonator. I think it was an interesting way to do something that is similar, but isn't quite the same lore-wise, has different implications. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Big things in smaller packages,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, and one little thing too, if you remember at the end of the story,
Yeah.
the Exostrider said its ability to resonate with Imeth and everything. It was like I've unlocked and basically when it gave Imeth that little power boost, it's essentially like giving her a second resonance awakening.
Yes.
And so it said that I've unlocked capabilities previously undocumented outside of the Sentinel mech series,
Right.
which
Yes.
is a whole nother bag of worms
Yes.
around that Sentinel mech
Sentinel mech.
series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sentinels are, I mean, if you
Yeah, I mean, I
like
guess
the
it's
civilization
implied.
capsule in 2.7, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you listen to the way Imperator talks, they talk like, "Oh yeah, my core functions."
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
They talk like they're robots.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
talk like they're like advanced AI programs.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and like I said, that's a whole nother bag of worms.
But that's interesting because
yeah.
I think you're quite right, and I think it was for me always the thought that Jue and Imperator were both kind of programs in a way, or sort of something like that. But I hadn't considered that they also could have mech forms because we never really like see Leviathan in a physical form at this point because it's been merged, right? And I think that's interesting, the idea that they have mech forms as well, potentially.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting, and it has a lot of implications for a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like I said, I'll save
Yeah,
that for
yeah.
later.
I think that's a whole topic in itself. I guess one question about Imeth is, since she can pilot her exoswarm shell, so she's not like alive, she's still a ghost
Yes.
essentially in her shell. Does that mean that she's practically immortal now? Like she is dead, but her spirit is, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So interesting thing about that. Once again, the last video that I did with the philosophy of the greatest villain, actually goes into some detail about that form of hers. Basically, yeah, she is essentially immortal. So congrats, Rover. Your daughter and both you and your daughter are immortal. So
I mean, that's something.
I mean, yeah, it's a W
Yeah.
in terms of like the Black Shores. Like you guys, when Rover wants to retire, Anya can take over. I think the only thing about it is they would need, so Lucilla teased at this, right? She was saying at the very beginning of 3.3 this question that she posed to Hiyuki, where she basically said, I wonder what I would have to do to get a budget, like a
Yeah.
huge budget,
Yeah.
to study the exoswarm in depth, right?
Yeah.
I think that would actually be necessary to a degree because with Imyth, that body is technically immortal, but the question is like repairing it if it got too badly
Yeah.
damaged.
Yeah. Could she then just could another be made or
What? Probably not, because like
yeah.
the Exostrider is the one who makes Exoswarm.
Yeah.
It's like itself, its body. So, but once again, something similar to it could be made. And once again, if they do more research on the Exoswarm, they'd probably be able to get like a really solid, and it's PGR all over again.
Yeah.
We're basically back to PGR. All roads lead
All
back
roads lead to
Punishing Green
PGR.
Raven.
Okay. I don't know if maybe you've covered this a bit already, but what is beneath the great sword in Sundermere? Is one
She
question.
absorbs Soulless Kid to heal herself. I mean, if they want to, that would definitely be logical.
Yeah, I guess.
If she wanted to do that, I don't think she would, but maybe if they like give her like a little bit of their energy, like a spirit bomb or
Yeah, a
something.
little.
And yeah, Exoswarm do come from the Exostrider parts, or really just it comes from the Exostrider itself. So sorry, what was the question?
Oh, sorry. The question is, what is beneath the great sword in Sundermere?
Okay,
What's it?
yes. So that's a good question. There is an exploration report. I can't tell you the exact one right now, but there's an exploration report, and you know you can go like if you go to the map and then hit square if you're using a controller.
I'm not. Sorry.
Oh well, yeah, just go to the map and then go to the top left,
Oh, wait.
and then the far right.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly. Like you click just any one, really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just so that people understand what the exploration reports are. Um, yeah, so those are basically where this information is. Um,
Sorry, where are the reports,
I
did you say?
oh, you were in the right spot.
Oh, wait. Over here?
Yeah, go to map
Yeah?
and then go to those spots where the little pictures are and just click one. And then on the top right, click that button that looks like a book, I think.
Oh.
And that's an exploration report.
Oh, no.
Um,
What?
strictly, yeah. So basically, and I am so sorry. Ask the question one more time, just so that I make
Yes.
sure I'm
Okay, so the
answering everything.
question is, what is beneath the sword in Sundermere?
Okay, got it. So yeah, so basically, in the one of the exploration reports, it might actually be the exploration report for Sundermere, that area.
Yeah, let's see here.
Where's like the what is it called? Star Trek Collective or whatever. It basically explains that the Sundermere is where the Stridergate is, right?
Yeah.
Underneath it. That's the Dimir Plains, basically. So it essentially it's
Right.
like it explains that there's a giant open space underneath the Bjarter Woods
Yeah.
that connects to the Sundermere.
I see.
And so that giant space underneath is the Dimir Plains. And it
Right.
connects, like if you just think about it like as like a rectangle or like if whatever, a big circle with two access points.
Right.
One being the normal one in the Bjarter Woods and one being the one that was created after the Exostrider sword went clean through. So that's where I lived before. Oh my gosh, Aleph One. That's crazy.
Aleph One is here. You know, even Aleph
Aleph
One
One is
wants
in
to
the
lore.
chat.
Yeah, I know. We've got everyone.
Um,
Okay, but that's kind of cool. Okay. That makes sense because
yeah,
yeah, again, like where is this, right? Compared to like it's sort of its own little bubble if we compare it to the rest of the maps. It's sort of isolated. So that's pretty interesting, the idea that it's simply underneath.
yep.
I like that. I like that. That's cool. So let's see what else we've got. We've got yes, okay. We've got a question here. Was there anything was there anything to the theories about Chisa having a key role to play in Lahai Roy? Was there anything that kind of supported that theory? Because a lot of people had an idea that she was going to be really crucial to 3.3, and then she kind of wasn't in the capacity people were imagining she could have been.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
do you
yeah.
think about that?
I think Chisa is the GOAT.
Yeah.
I think that anybody who says anything to the contrary is delusional. Okay, seriously, I really am interested in Chisa as a character. I think that she is like the biggest Chekhov's gun of all the characters in Wuthering Waves,
Mm-hmm.
in my personal opinion. She's just one massive Chekhov's gun.
Right.
Um, and for anybody who doesn't know what a Chekhov's gun is, I mean, obviously you can look it up, but in short, it basically means like in plays, if you see a gun in a room and you can tell that the gun's in the room from a camera angle or whatever, or they maybe show the gun for a second or whatever. Like if you can see a image and there's a gun in the room, that gun is there for a reason. It's not
Mm-hmm.
there by accident. And so it's called Chekhov's gun
Yeah.
because the guy named Chekhov, like I said, that was the idea. So they are putting her in the game for a reason. It's not accident, and I think it's because 3.0 technically started in 2.8.
Yes, that's a good point. It did. It did for sure.
Like a lot of people think it started in Lahai. Like no, 3.0 Lahai, it yeah, it started in 2.8. And I think this is a very big long game for the game as a whole. Like we're gonna see something as time progresses that will connect 2.8 probably to like 3.0 and 4.0 maybe even.
Oh,
Like
okay.
we have no idea just how far because I know the question is like, oh well, the universe has rejected us. That's what Imon said. Why haven't
Yeah.
we heard that yet? And there's like a lot of different things that happened that haven't really fully been explained. Chisa's potential connections to Hiyuki outside of
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that they're in Ashinohara, or they're from Ashinohara.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And I think even when you notice, like they keep showing Chisa, even though
Yes.
she's had negligible amounts of presence
Yeah.
for the vast majority of 3.x. She's, a couple
She's still
little
being
cameos
featured.
here and there,
Yeah.
but not anywhere close to the rest of the characters,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so why do they keep showing her though? Even at the very end of 3.3,
Yeah,
we
she's
see
there,
Chisa
but
and she's just walking while they're talking,
yeah.
and she gets like a couple seconds on screen of her just walking, and it's like, why do they keep doing this? Um, and so I think that there is that combined with her ability, which is like a crazy broken ability, and the
Yes.
fact that they literally teased the fact that her taking off the collar, if she ever overclocks, she gets like really like insane strength,
Right.
obviously at a cost. And so, yeah, I believe that there's a reason why Ashinohara is being shown to us so much,
Mm.
where, with Hiyuki, with Zashiki Warashi, the Fraxidus member,
Yeah.
and then that horrifying message at the very end, that the entire island, like Ashinohara, Japan is an island. Ashinohara is clearly based off Japan,
Yeah.
and it just flipped off the map.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just gone. We heard about it and it's gone.
And then on top of that, the elusive realm is supposed to be coming.
Yes.
The elusive realm is supposed to be coming back, and it's Hanami themed. Why
Right.
is that? So
Yeah.
I just feel like there's way too much pointing to Hanami, pointing back to 2.8, pointing to Chisa. Like there's clearly something that they have planned.
Right.
And so yeah, like I said, Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. You think they're
That's
saving her for something else?
yes.
Okay. I think that would be really cool. I think, as you said, her Forte seems so powerful if you think about it, right? So it feels like I understand why so many people thought, well, surely that's why it's been introduced. She will come into play because she even says things like, "I will sever this deadlock." Like, there's all these things where people feel like, oh, she's the solution, right?
Yeah.
So as you say, introducing a Forte that powerful and that specific, it feels like, well, it could come into play, but at a crucial moment. So it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see. I mean, I hope they're playing the long game and that many of these characters and things that have been introduced but haven't maybe been fully explored or utilized will come back in an unexpected manner at some point. Yeah, okay. I guess on that note, wait, let me just see. Right. Yes. Sorry. I got confused. I wanted to ask a question, not from me,
Mhm.
but from, again, the viewers, about Denia, or Denia, however you say it.
Yeah, yeah.
She has these two forms, and I know we don't know a lot about it yet because her story is still coming. But do you have a theory based on what is in the game so far about
Mhm.
these two forms of hers and how that works? Because they said the Fraxes kind of implied that they were trying to replicate something kind of like what was happening with Fleur Elise. You know, they kind of failed it with Mia, but they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
trying to do that thing again. So do you think that her two forms are similar to how Cartethyia and Fleur Elise have two forms, or what do you think it is?
Um, yeah, kind of. The exact. So it seems almost like when she goes. So basically, she's basically the Threnodian resonator.
Yeah,
That was, basically confirmed in 3.3.
yeah,
Hyuki was like, you're trying to do the same thing that they did, by assimilating a Threnodian with a resonator,
yeah,
right? Um, because the first time that we heard about it was in Renacida.
yes,
And so the two forms, I mean, basically, it seems like she has a little bit of a personality switch
yeah,
with it, which is
yeah.
interesting. But not just like the Cartethyia to Fleur de Lis type personality. It's almost like
It's
it's
like
not like 'cause
180.
I view Cartethyia and Fleur de Lis as like, and you can maybe help me out on this, as more just like a. And I think you maybe said this in a conversation, kind of like she becomes more confident, but she's not like some totally different person.
No.
She's just like, how would you describe that?
Yeah, I think again, and guys, I can only obviously speak from my own understanding of the character. I'm not speaking for Kuro or the writers or anything, but I always saw it as it's like like a sliding doors timeline situation, right? Where there was one person who at a point got split in two and then experienced the same timeline but on parallel tracks. And so the relationship between them is they are the same person but who has been living different versions of the same timeline and had different experiences that has
Mm,
shaped them differently, right? And that is why we see the difference in the 2.2 sort of separate versions of them. It is because they have been living and existing in different ways. And so when they come back together again, they are still essentially one person, but now with the memories of both sides of that
yeah,
timeline, right?
yeah,
And so they are the same person, but still it's like two sort of it's like the multiverse, two different versions of the same person if different things had happened existing in the same space, and they can kind of lean into either, but it is really one person, just so yeah, that's kind of how I've understood the characters. But of course, people can
yeah. That
have a
makes
different
sense.
headcanon.
No, yeah, that makes total sense. I think that's a really. I hadn't even heard it described that way. I think I'm very much on board with that explanation. Same person with different life experiences.
Yeah,
One
that's
person was fighting the Threnodian for like 20 years, and the other person was like, just walking around and watching
doing puppet
uh,
shows.
puppet shows. Yeah, basically, it's kind of like that thing of like you see two twins, and like how they like end up. I'm not literally, but it's just like, oh yeah, there's this really funny thing on the internet that went around where it's like these two guys, they're twin brothers,
Yeah,
and one is a cop and one is getting arrested
right.
by him. His
Yeah.
brother arrested him, and they're both twins. Now to be fair, it wasn't like some serious infraction. The dude, I think he was like drinking or something like
Oh,
that,
right, right.
and he was like got a little crazy, and so his brother came and
Yeah.
just like, all right, guy, get in here. Yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy, but it was just funny. It was just like, you see that picture and you're like, you see
Yeah, yeah.
both of them, they're twins, they're raised in the same household, and
It's
look how
really funny.
they came out. But yeah, so yeah, Denia seems to me to be more like when she goes into that form. And if we look at the way that Aleph 1 makes the projection, right? This whole
Yeah.
ability to like essentially respond back with voidance.
Right. Yeah.
that could be affecting Dania.
Right.
And so you notice even I think when we heard her voice in like 3.2, she just had kind of like this really like depressed almost state where it's
Yeah,
just like
she sounds
nothing
very
matters
lackadaisical. Like she's
or
like, eh,
whatever,
whatever.
no zeal for life. And
Yeah.
that might be the Therodian influence where it's just like this going back to void and
Yeah, yeah,
everything ends in the void and all this stuff. So the
yeah.
absence of existence, like everything returns back. So that could be the logic behind this different form of hers.
Right.
One obviously just being that Therodian resonator form,
Yes.
but two being you notice her design has like this. We saw this in 3.3. It's like she has these like chains on her
Yes.
chest
Yeah.
with a little locket or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
like when it unlocks, then the Therodian version comes out, and so it's almost like she's trying to suppress it, or the Fraxidus wanted her to suppress it,
Yeah.
obviously, because you wouldn't be a good spy otherwise.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I am right
Okay.
now on the logic behind that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get more answers soon. I think it's only what, like a week and a half or something until her little bit of the she gets kind of like an after story, I think, doesn't she, or another little bit of story.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We should be getting like a little bit more information on her as a character.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of like more like Cartethyia than we realize.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, being an experiment and stuff. I mean, I feel like it's kind of obvious, but yeah. Yeah,
It'll
we'll
be
see.
interesting to see if she really does have a completely like more so than Cardiff so at least like a different personality, and whoever she was before, maybe she has a personality that is less, as you say, jaded and cynical when she's sort
Yeah.
of removed from that influence. But then I suppose I mean, if we think about it, if you were in the presence of a dark sorry, a black hole, like that sucks literally everything out of you, right? Like it probably wouldn't leave you
Yeah.
a bundle of joy, but it would be really interesting because her design as well, I think, is so intriguing because on one hand
Yeah.
she seems quite like there are aspects of her design that are quite cute, but then her
Mm,
personality, as we've seen it so far, hasn't been very cute, really. So
yes.
there's an interesting dichotomy there. I see Chad is asking, do we know who her voice actor is? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows because typically this is only revealed when the characters become playable. Then you'll be able to, go into the game and you can kind of see who voices them. When you go into the resonators, you can see, it'll say who the VA is. Oh, you can't see that
Mm,
obviously because Life Lessons is obscuring on the screen. Sorry, that's my bad. But in theory, you know what I mean. Yeah, he is the voice of Rover. Yeah, you heard it first here. But yeah, when you go in, it says who the VA is, and I'm guessing once her character becomes pullable, you'll be able to see that as well. So we will all know very soon. But yeah, if you didn't know, I'll move him and you can see what I mean. See, you see here, you can see who the VA is for each of these characters. Yeah, who's the Exostrider's voice actor? I don't know, Chad Exostrider. I'm sorry, I don't know either. As I'm sure you guys know, I'm not currently working on this game, so I haven't for a while. So I don't know. I don't know anything. We'll have to find out when it's all out. Right. Okay. Moving swiftly to the next question. At the end of 3.3, the Grand Architect said something about Frolova. And
mm.
this person was asking, do we think that something's going to happen to Frolova? Or was that just the sort of Nivora persona of Grand Architect being a little sassy?
Yeah. So, gosh, it raises a lot of questions. Because I think a lot of people were under the impression that Frolova quit.
Yeah. I mean, suddenly I was. She kind of sounded like she was going to go and do her own thing for a bit. At the end of 2.7, she
Exactly.
was like, man, I'm done with this, right? So,
And it was interesting because Christopher was like, do you want me to like write a
yeah.
prologue or whatever?
Yeah.
Um, and in short, We don't know.
We don't know.
Like I think that's the short answer on this one is just we don't know
Yeah.
yet. There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the moment, we just don't know yet.
Mm.
All we know is that the Grand Architect has plans for Furlova. I didn't think that they were gonna let Furlova off that easily, to be honest.
No, it seems a bit
Um,
like, sure, okay, they're just gonna let her walk away.
yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't seem that way. She's too valuable, I think,
Yeah.
them to do that. So
Mm. Yeah. It will be interesting as well because even though we're getting more, we're learning about more Fractidus overseers. In Luke's segue, he was giving us a lot of intel about other
mhm.
new Fractidus overseers that maybe we haven't met yet, and of course the three that we have. But I'm curious. I feel like surely characters like, I mean, Christopher had a big role to play in 2.x, of course, and so did Frolova. But I feel like surely having established these characters and not really, it feels like we still have unresolved business with all of those characters. I feel like
Oh,
it would be
100%.
interesting to see if they all come back in a big fashion at one point, both the ones we already know and the new ones, because it would feel, I think, abrupt to not have those characters explored, because we've had so many interactions with them already in 1.x and 2.x. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if there's going to be a whole like Fractidus showdown where they all, I don't know, like imagine all of the Fractidus overseers in one fight or something. That would be crazy.
Yeah, that sounds scary, actually.
Yeah.
That sounds very scary. That better be like after Rover has command of all
Yeah.
the abilities, and we also have all of the Sentinel resonators with us, because oh my gosh, that
Yeah, I was gonna say.
genuinely just fighting. Um, I mean, to be fair, Fleur de Lis is kind of broken.
Mm,
Like the fact that like you basically fought Crisoforo and Scar 1v2 and they ran away.
mm.
So, like that's definitely something. As long as you're there,
Yeah.
I think we'll have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, but could you imagine a team up between all the Sentinel resonators? And I'm including Imeth in this because she's
yeah, of course.
equivalent. That would be pretty cool. Make it happen.
The scary part about that is though, with that much world-breaking power,
Hmm.
you would need an equivalent world-breaking villain,
Yeah,
and
of
that's
course.
where it's just like,
I mean, we've got Aleph
oh
one.
gosh, how bad does it have to get? But yeah, exactly. We have Aleph One, so maybe by the time Aleph One comes back, if they find a way
Hmm.
to get into Solaris without the Stridergate,
Yeah.
that's where it's or see that's the problem, right? Because this is why the theory that Aleph One was in our solar system is scary.
Yeah.
Like if my idea of like the moon being that moon and like that basically means that once we figure out a way to get rid of the lament,
Hmm.
Aleph One is like has full reign.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Like the etheric, once the etheric sea is gone, well, not so much the lament, but the etheric sea specifically.
Yeah.
Because you get rid of the lament, you'll get rid of Aleph One, in
Yeah.
theory. But yeah, if you get rid of the etheric sea
Then
or figure
what?
out some way to bypass it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Especially if your theory about the universe being dead is true, then yikes.
galaxy. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to be careful because galaxy is the small one. Universe,
Yeah.
because in the universe
My
there are
bad.
multiple galaxies. So
My
I just think
bad.
our
The
current
galaxy.
galaxy
Yeah. Yeah.
is dead. There
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
other galaxies with other people there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the current one we're in, if Aleph One quite literally was right outside of Solaris but just couldn't get in,
Hmm.
I mean, there clearly was nobody else then,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because otherwise they would have gone there first.
Yeah. That makes
But yeah,
sense. Um, who do you think the white-haired girl mentioned in 3.1 is? Who that was the one who appeared during the Court of Savantae section, right? Who disappeared again?
hmm
Do you know who I'm
that
talking about?
is not. We don't. So two things.
Yeah.
So Zephyrin. Hopefully, I'm saying your name right. Hello, Zephyrin. Could the Etheric Sea be alive?
Ooh, good
I would
question.
highly encourage you, when the live stream is over, to watch my video, how she connects everything. I address that discussion in that video. Um, so yeah, it's you will not be disappointed. I guarantee you, it's a solid video. Um, so we don't know if it's the same person.
Right.
The more I look into it, it actually feels like it might not be the same person.
Okay.
Now her hair originally looks kind of silverish, but she is in the dark of space, so that could affect the light or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe it is white per se, but with the hologram recreation has like a grayish thing to it, grayish silver look to it, so it's kind of hard to say. With that being said, it could be possible. I'm not saying it's not possible at all, but I think that just the general question is just like, what do we know about that character,
Yeah.
right?
If anything.
So there's
If anything.
Yeah, so there are some theories. Oh, hello, my name's Life. I'm a lore content creator for Wuthering Waves. I've been covering the game since day one, and we are having a discussion about the lore.
Yeah.
Channel's Life Lessons Gaming, and I have a whole playlist for Wuwa lore, so if that's something you care about or are interested in, you can check it out.
Go and check it out.
Draken. But yeah, so what we know, this is what we know. We know that the Court of Savantae saw a miracle happen.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the Court of Savantae saw a gateway open up above the spot that is now called the Winding Ix's Mire.
Yes.
We know that in that gate, they saw the Space Lady, which is why they have the projection.
Yes.
That is not the exact same thing as was described by the Court of Savantae in the Skyark space station, which was when the etheric sea showed up, a white-haired lady showed up alongside it, and then she disappeared and left a bunch of memories in her wake. So unless there is information being excluded, those are not necessarily described the same way.
Right.
First instance, yes, that is correct. The Space Lady. Well, that is the assumption. Well, actually, no, yeah, it's basically confirmed because the 2.7 civilization capsule, first instance initiated, confirmed, whatever. So yeah. So yeah. So that's what I would say. I'd say that the example of her appearance. Now you could argue, oh, those are two different appearances.
Yes.
Not likely, because if they were two different appearances, the Court of Savantae, unless the only way that those are two different appearances is if the Court of Savantae lost its data.
Right.
Which I don't believe is the case. I mean, we saw like the Skyark space station literally had information from back then. So just for clarity, the holograms that we saw on the Skyark space station were from 10,000 plus years ago, right?
Right.
We know. I'm not going to get into the reason why we know this. We do know this.
I trust.
Yeah. But it's from 10,000 plus years ago. I talk about that in I think my 3.2 video maybe. Like the 10 facts about 3.2.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, like I said, if you see my playlist, you'll see. That's information from that long ago. The Court of Savantae, that information has been preserved, okay? It's been preserved.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, unless by some circumstances, all the Court of Savantae's information got deleted after the etheric sea came, which I don't believe is the case, they would know that the white lady who showed up with the etheric sea, the white-haired lady that showed up with the etheric sea, is not the same person as the person that showed up in the Winding Ix's Mire. They'd be able to look at both of those and be like, oh, it's the same person. No, they were just like, oh, this is whoever this is. So as if their information is, still intact from the past, which I believe it is, it likely is a different person. Otherwise, they would have mentioned that this is like that person. So yeah, that's kind of my
different entity, maybe similar hair, but not as far as we know the same person.
Yeah. All we know is she has white hair. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and in fairness, quite a few people have white hair in this game, right? It's not like but in a good way, because I think you mentioned to me that you love white-haired characters. That's kind of like your weakness. Any character with a white hair
characters. If the Grand Architect has white hair, I'm pulling.
Well,
That's
this
all
is
I'm
the
saying.
thing. They could have, for all we know, like they could be anything. We don't know anything about
Yeah.
what they actually look like, I think. So yeah. Okay. Right. So here is I suppose a little follow up to that then. Since we were talking about this probably isn't the same character as the goddess we see at the start of the game. Do you have any thoughts on when we might see that character again? When do you think we actually will see her again? Is there anything in the game that hints at that?
It was Hiyuki. That's so funny. So I said Ling Yang main.
Yeah.
Oh, am I a Ling Yang main?
I mean-
I like Ling Yang. I think he's really cool. I'm not a Ling Yang main, but I built him. So I actually did invest into my Ling Yang. So I did build him. I put Xing Liao's weapon on him, and stuff like that. So I like him enough to actually play him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have an account that I'm okay with getting sequences
Yeah.
on him. And then my other account, whenever I see him, I'm like, no. But on the account that I built him on, I'm okay if I get Ling Yang sequences.
Okay. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah. But when will we see the Space Lady again?
Yeah, that's the question.
I have a strong feeling we'll probably see her before the end of 3.x.
Okay.
Basically by the end of the year. That's my take. There's a couple things that when we saw the Exo Strider the very first time, I was like, okay, we have to address a lot of stuff then. I was saying this back in 3.0 where I was like, the existence of the Exo Strider means we have to address Rover's homeland. There's no way you can address the Exo Strider without addressing Rover's homeland. Hydrate or the lore explodes in the databases. Got you.
Stay hydrated, guys. Goes for all of you as well.
Appreciate it, because I did need that. But yeah, so I think that right now Rover's an interesting character. I think when Lahairoi ends, one of two things is going to happen. Because I meant to even ask Rover, like, what are you going to do next? Right?
Yeah.
And Rover was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're going to need Rover to start asking some more questions. However, this whole Ashinahara stuff is a very good distraction from those questions. Even for me, because as much as interested as I am with learning more about Rover, I am very interested in Wuwa, Japan.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of people are.
So it's just like, I think, plus the other thing is too, the civilization capsules. If there's another one in Ashinahara, for example, or New Federation, what have you, we don't really, depends on where we go next, I guess.
Yeah.
We might end up seeing her again in the in like another civilization capsule.
Okay.
And then the last bit on that would just be Shorekeeper as a whole. The characters definitely know something. Zashiki Warashi. I mean, my thoughts are that's a really bold. Maybe like it almost makes me think that Ashinahara is going to be a traditionalist Japan.
Okay.
In a sense. And the reason, I mean, you look at Hiyuki, right? You can kind of see that they have this like traditional kind of thought process around, Mikos and all this. Because like all the other Firaxis members are all, Shakespearean.
Yes, actually.
And stuff. And, Greek, Roman mythology and stuff. And then this guy's like, yeah, nah, I'm going to keep my traditional Japanese naming scheme.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that maybe says more about Ashinahara as a whole than Zashiki Warashi specifically.
It's such a good point as well, yeah. And we talked about how all the other Firaxis overseers have like Greek code names, but then you've got this one outlier, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I will say on that really briefly is just that I think whatever happened to Ashinahara might be the result of the Firaxis intervention in Hanami in 2.8, because they were studying that they were studying the occurrence, the Hanami Sonorosphere occurrence. Right. So the results of those studies might be what happened. I actually think Ashinohara got like put into a Sonosphere, kind of like Hanami,
Right, so
but
it's not
not through
necessarily
natural
like
means.
gone because I saw a lot of people speculating like, is it just irrevocably gone? Like, is it just
Yeah, yeah,
did
yeah.
it explode? Like, what happened? Right?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. They're probably like got sucked into a Sonoro and possibly intentionally,
Yeah.
because like I said, once they learned how the Hanami thing worked, they were like, all right, test subjects.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's
so
still better than it being, just nuked off the face of the earth because at least that way there is, a hope of reclaiming it.
I would be
So
mad otherwise. I
yeah,
would quite
you
literally be
can't like
mad because
tell
I'm
us it
like,
exists and then like say, oh, and you can never go there. Like, surely.
I need a Japanese themed world. Like I need a whole region. I need it to be like the biggest region of the year.
I mean,
I
I
just
think we
want it to be
all would
like,
like that.
yeah, I really want a cool Japanese region. I'm a weeb.
Well,
Sue me.
I mean, I think everyone liked the visuals of Hanami so much, and I know that that's obviously just one location, and that's not necessarily representative of what all of Ashinohara would look like. But I mean, I certainly would not be mad to have more of that. So yeah,
Really quickly, Shrew Manchu. The you're talking about the firmament and the story in the Bible, with Noah. Yes, actually, I made a video discussing that topic. It is back in 2.x when I made the video. Um, I believe it is. Yeah, it's either the master plan. We were fooled. Yeah, I think it's the master plan video. Um, but yeah, I would check one of the 2.x videos. I mean, like I said, once again, they're all kind of uh they're all really solid. But it would either be like the master plan or the we were all fooled one. But I did touch on that in and actually, you know what? I can tell you exactly which one it was. So it wasn't they faked everything. It was, let's see, playlist. Because I know what the end of it looked like. That's how I can tell. But yeah, like I said, just check that out. Let's see, unforeseen. Okay, no. So yeah, I think it might have been the 20-year trap one. I think it might have been that one. But like I said, obviously, as always, I always encourage people to just check them out. You'll see. Uh and just kind of go from there. If I do find it though, oh, okay, got it, found it. It is the horrifying truth. No one noticed in Wuthering Waves. It is the thumbnail says Doomsday and it has Frolova and Scar on it. So that will answer the Noah firmament question.
okay.
Um, the horrifying truth. No one noticed in Wuthering Waves. Frolova and Scar on the thumbnail. It says Doomsday.
I'll see if I can find it and
So
link
yeah,
it in the.
yeah. If you go to the playlist, it's number 4 in the playlist.
All right, okay. Let me get that up for you in the meantime for anyone who wants the link. I saw someone asking if I have sequence 6, Cartethyia. No, I have sequence 3.
I was actually curious about that too.
Yeah?
I was genuinely curious.
No, no,
But
no,
yeah,
guys.
Sequence 3 is so busted anyway though. Like everything
Yeah.
in the open world just dies.
Yeah, I'm not
Uh,
that hardcore. I've not gone for 6 sequences of anyone yet. Sequence 3 is where we are.
Speaking
So
of which, while you're looking that up if you don't mind.
yeah.
I just wanted to say my plans for the collab.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So I got some videos in the works, y'all, for Cyberpunk. I'm gonna be doing some like lore videos, basically kind of catching people up on like Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, that world, to get people ready for the collab. Um, and I'm very excited about those videos. One of them is gonna be very personal to me, actually. Where I'm gonna share some very personal life story. And so about something happening in my life right now, actually. Um, but with that being said, and I'm actually curious, chat, what are you all's plans for the collab? When I first saw the design, I've said this before. One of the character archetypes I really like is small characters with giant weapons. I think it's like really funny, and it's just like a cool. It's just cool. It's kind of like think about like Tom and Jerry sort of thing, where it's like the small character, but packs a big punch or whatever. Um, So when I first saw Cyberpunk Edge Runners art and stuff, I didn't really know anything about it. But I saw Rebecca, and I saw like she's just like this small character, but she's got like a really big personality, and she has this giant like gauntlet arms and you know the gun and everything. And I was like, okay, I like that. That's cool. And then Lucy as well. She was also in the Guilty Gear game. They were collaborated with Cyberpunk, and they did a great job with her the way she looks as well. Because Wuthering Waves absolutely knocked it out of the park. So I thought Lucy looked cool for sure. She has white hair, obviously. I think she looks cool. But in general, I was like, okay, yeah, Rebecca. I think like I'm pretty interested in this character. Depending on how this character plays, I might get S6. And then I actually watched Edge Runners, and now I like Lucy even more.
Yeah, she's
than
a
I
great
did
character.
originally. So did you watch Edge Runners?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, we
when
gotta
it came
talk.
out.
That's oh.
So it's a while
that's
ago.
a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I
but
didn't
we
watch
need to
it
talk
for
about that.
Woowa. I watched it before. Yeah.
I was always planning to watch it. I just had not gotten around to it.
Right.
And so this was like even a year ago, this was the inspiration, I guess you could say, that I needed. But yeah, we got to talk about that. We have to talk about that. But anyway, point is, now, and this is like I said, a little backstory on me. When the Nier Automata collab and Punishing Gray Raven happened, I missed it. And
Oh, no.
I knew about it, but I took my time. I never logged in, and then I ended up missing it. As 0R1, so pretty much most of my characters, fair. And so this time I was like, I am not missing another collab. I'm not doing it. I will not. So basically, this is my thing. Edge Runners also won Anime of the Year in Crunchyroll 2022. Oh, wow.
It was a good
But
one.
it wasn't on Crunchyroll.
Wait, was it 2022? Was it that long ago?
That is kind of crazy, right?
What? Okay.
What? But yeah, so basically, I'm not missing another one. And like I said, these characters look amazing. So my goal is I want to get S6, and the fact that we're getting Rebecca like for free is awesome. So S6 R1 Rebecca,
Right.
and maybe like S3 Lucy
Dang.
at the very least.
Okay.
This is all just a pipe dream, though. We'll see. I've been saving up for the last 6 months.
Okay. I was gonna say,
So-
like, you must have some asteroids saved for that.
Yeah, I saved up for like when I heard about the collab, I was like, bet. And I just saved a bunch.
Okay.
Now I have S6 Zani, right?
Right.
I have S6 Zani on one account, S6 Roshi on another account. I don't S6 every single character by any means. I have 2 accounts, so that makes it easier for me to be able to get
Right.
the characters
That
and get a
makes
lot of
sense.
copies.
Yeah, that makes
Because I
sense.
save up on one account and then I'll get on the
Yeah.
other account.
Okay.
And I have not really pulled a lot on one of my accounts. So, with that being said, I have a bunch of Coral, a bunch of Astrite, and when I did Zani, also my account is both of my accounts are kind of unfair, to be honest with you. I didn't lose a single 50-50
Wow.
getting Zani
That's
to
crazy.
S6. Didn't lose a single one. I lost one 50-50 getting Roshia to S6, and that 50-50 was like very short-lived. Like I think I lost it
Wow.
after like 10 pulls, and then I got her after like 30 pulls or something like that. So
It's like the opposite of my
I'm-
luck. I love it for you. But
Really?
it's crazy. Oh god, you should have seen me try to get Hiyuki like one copy of her. Like got her at like 157 pulls.
Okay.
You know, like I get weapons at 80, I get characters at 80, I lose 50-50 half the time. So I think I'm
so
cursed,
sorry.
but I'm really happy that other people are not, because I live for when people tell me, oh yeah, I just pulled the character in 10 pulls, like there's no worries. And then I got the weapon in 20 and I got like 3 copies of I love that for you
somebody
guys.
said he's flexing on us. Get him.
People are always like, oh, streamer luck. I'm like, no. I don't think you understand. I have the opposite. It's more like, yeah, this particular account, like, no.
Do you want to know what my Hiyuki pulls were?
Yeah, tell me so I can cry.
You're not gonna get mad at me, are you?
No.
Okay, chat. You can't get mad at me.
We promise.
So I got her normally. I got her in 70. It was guaranteed. It was like 60 something. So it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking to myself, I really like this character. Maybe I can, try again.
Yeah.
And so I did. What did I do? I did 30-ish pulls, somewhere between 30 and 40 pulls.
Okay.
And then I got her again.
That's amazing. That's great.
And then I was like,
Well,
okay,
I've got this
maybe
far.
let's try again.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can S2. And I tried again. And I lost 50-50
Okay.
after 15 pulls.
Oh, that's early. That's great.
Yeah, so now I'm guaranteed again.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to wait for later. I'm going to get mad at you, Life. So I got S1 pretty like 70, 30 something lost. But now, like I said, I'm guaranteed again. So yeah.
But that's great. Look, this is the thing. This is the thing. It is random. And that's also why
it is.
I think I'm not mad about that, because I kind of feel like, well, that's the premise of gacha gaming, right? And if you aren't okay with that, I guess this isn't the game you should be playing, right? You should play a different game. So that's fine. But it's also why I always say when people are like, oh, why aren't you pulling for this character? I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, just okay, I'm just gonna get out of this conversation and then I'll show you guys what I mean. Like, I am someone who has played this game for about a year now. I don't do all the end game weekly content because I just don't have the time. But I do a good amount of it. And like, I have done, all the past events. Like, I basically complete all of them. I get all the rewards. Like, I do pretty much even the boring ones that people are like, dreaming deep. Yes, I do all of the events, right? I do all of the exploration. Just to vindicate myself here, like, I do actually do pretty much all of the exploration, as you can see.
Yeah.
And so I do everything I can to actually play the game, get the currency, and still, because it always takes me pretty much hard pity to get anything, whether it's a weapon or a character. I think it's happened once that I got really, really lucky. I kind of lost a 50-50 early and then got the character in one pull, which was insane. But that's the only time I've been remotely lucky or early with a character. So just because of that, I kind of wish people would give me a little bit of grace when they're like, oh, why aren't you pulling this character? Why aren't you going for S3? Why aren't you getting the signature? Because I cannot. I do not have that kind of luck. And I love that other people do, but it just doesn't happen for me. Like, so I have to be selective and... yeah, I just be
the
kind.
opposite problem.
Be kind to streamers, like we can't always get all the characters. It doesn't mean we don't like them or we don't care. It's just like, with what pulls, my guy,
Like that, I have the opposite problem where my stream gets mad at me every time I pull.
Because you're too lucky.
Because I'll just be like, okay, guys, I'm not guaranteed. Let's see what happens. I was like, surely, and they're like, okay, look, our pity is 0. All right. And then I click the summon button. And then like 3 5-stars back to back.
Yeah.
Not literally, but like it happens. Like it's genuinely kind of crazy. You can go to like Wuwa Tracker and see what your thing is, and my percentage for getting characters and then winning is like, and I have 2 accounts and they're both pretty high, which is like, it's genuinely like absurd to me how this works. Now, to be fair, in other games of the gacha variety, I don't have like that's like I'd say I probably have like above average.
Right.
In other games. I'm above average in other games. But in Wuwa, I am like,
you're like the 1%.
Like top 1. Yeah, I'm kind of like top 1%, it feels
I love
like.
that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, look, I'm not the example. Do not.
Yeah.
I am not the norm. Please, I can't control this. Like, it's almost like that half. I almost wish that I didn't get them as easily, because then people wouldn't be mad at me. But at the same time, obviously, I'm not mad that I got them easily. So it's just like,
well, that's the thing. I think we just all have to understand and accept that it is like, that is the random aspect of gacha, right? Like there is a bit of randomness in it, and some people will have the experience of getting lucky often. Some people will have it happen less often. Again, I still haven't, and I've been playing a year and I've pulled on quite a few banners. I've never had a double. With 4 stars, yes, I might, but like a 5 stars, it's never happened. So again, and for some people that happens often, right? And it just goes to show there is no consistency. It is a bit of luck, and that's
I've
why
never had a double
you have to choose
either, I don't think.
what you go for. Okay, yeah, but some people get it often, right? And it's like,
yeah,
it is just what it is. But that's also why I think we should just be happy for people who get lucky when they do, and be sympathetic with people who are not lucky. I think that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, 100%. Like at the end of the day, just like, look, man, if I could, I would.
Yeah.
But since I can't, I haven't. And that's
Well,
the
that's
answer.
how I say it. You know, people are always like, "Well, are you pulling for this character?" I'm like, "No, I can't." And it doesn't mean I don't think the character's cool or interesting or whatever. It's just I am not in a position where I want to spend a lot of money on games that I play. I think there's like an amount I think is reasonable, and other than that, it's just I'm not a gambler, guys. So, you know, I would rather just play the game and get currency that way and use what I have, and then if I don't have any, I'll wait. So,
that is the reasonable
That's the way.
approach.
That's the way. Okay, so I did have a few more questions. So let me just get those up for us. We were talking a little bit about Cristoforo before and his Forte, because that one is quite interesting. Can you explain to us how that works? What is it actually that he does?
So that's a really good question. Cristoforo's Forte. We do not have 100% certainty about his Forte. He is not a playable character. We have not gotten, you know, the what is it called? We have not gotten, you know, the resonance report that other characters get to explain that. With that being said, Cristoforo's Forte seems to operate like this. He has to do a considerable amount of research on subject matter.
Right.
Whether that is through his own personal experience or whether that is through, you know, books, research, what have you. He has to understand what he's doing.
Right.
In short, he's a overpowered fan fiction writer.
Okay.
Like, that's basically how I would describe his Forte.
Right.
He's able to... Oh, I'm sorry. That was random. Hold on, please.
Okay.
I apologize, everybody.
No worries. Guys, in the meantime, you can... We'll wait for life. You can enjoy me doing this random quest. She says, since you're on hand, go check the ecological restoration progress in this sector. These rampaging exoswarm are linked to the void storm, so stay alert for secondary contamination. Understood, Professor. My apologies, everyone. Fennell can be a bit reckless, but she takes her research seriously. She'll have results to share with us soon. Rover, you're here for the Voidbane Elder Tree restoration, yes? Give me just a moment to prepare. Okay, so we'll just give them a second. Yeah, the Thraxiders are a little bit like theater kids, aren't they? A little bit. Certainly the original ones that we met, because we've got... Well, I think Scar has a bit of, you know, theatricality and showmanship around him, right? He's got these sort of playing cards. It's kind of... It's not like he's a magician, but he's got that kind of illusion stuff going on, right? And we've got Frolova, who's, you know, conductor, a musician. We've got Cristoforo, who's a writer. Little puppet master there. We've got some disgruntled theater kids.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back. Hey.
Yeah, my neighbor, apparently they got my mail.
Oh,
All of my mail was in their mailbox, so
great.
They were just letting me know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, great neighbor. Like a good neighbor, my neighbor was there. You were just talking about the Praxidus in general?
Yeah. Just saying the theater kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, so basically, he has to do research. I think the scariest part about it right now is that because he has Leviathan's gem,
yeah,
it enabled him to more adequately or more effectively assimilate the fan fiction onto the real world.
Right.
So if he knows enough about the subject matter, it seems as though he can affect real change.
Yeah.
In reality. Yeah, it is. It's very scary. But I will say this though. Um, Encore no dips him.
Right? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess she's got a similar kind of thing going on, doesn't she? Similar but different.
Better.
Yeah.
It's actually better.
Right.
Um, I just want to say Encore is a scary child.
Yeah. She is.
And the reason why is because the Tethys system, if you all remember from 1.3, the Tethys system is a very cold and calculating machine. It's like, sacrifice is necessary, all this stuff, whatever you. Yeah. If that cold and calculating machine, yeah, Weave, that's what I was getting at. If that cold and calculating machine, you honestly think that it told Alto and the Black Shores to get Encore? Because she's an orphan at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it told Alto and them to get her. I don't think it was just doing that to be nice, personally.
Right. No, probably not.
I think it probably realized that Encore has like some type of ability that is probably very strong and would not be good outside of their watch.
Yeah.
Basically. So, because like quite literally, Encore has the ability to do two things in essence. She basically can just turn imagination into reality. Like,
Yeah.
Cristoforo needs a subject and he needs to understand the subject. Because like I said, it's fan fiction. You can't have fan fiction without the first part, the thing that you're a fan of, right?
Yeah.
Which is the source material.
Yeah.
Encore's imagination is her source material.
Yes.
The only thing that could hurt her is if she was depressed.
Right.
And maybe even then it might even get like worse. But she can like quite literally just imagine things. So if you can take that and then, put that into reality, that's kind of busted. Jaja 2. Yeah, Jaja 2. Jaja's a little bit different. Because she technically has to paint it first.
Right, yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily, I don't know how sentient it is, because like she literally had these two dolls and made them sentient. But yeah. Like I said, Encore is kind of busted, and I think the last thing with that too is she also seems to not be affected by like nightmares, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did you get a chance to do the 1.4 Somme Noir thing?
Yes, it's the bit where they're on the train, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you notice, everybody else had nightmares,
Yes, but
and Encore was the only one who she was like, no, like, look at me, I'm the captain now. She like literally made them do a play. Like all the supposed, nightmare things and whatever. She just said, oh, okay, well, look, we're going to do this now. Like, I think she's kind of busted.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I don't know, man. Encore, when she grows up, it's going to be scary.
We should have an Encore Cristoforo showdown, like who can create the best and biggest illusion.
Hydrogen bomb versus a coughing baby. Cristoforo's the coughing baby.
Very good. I mean, Cristoforo, if you're here, now you know. That's what we think. Okay, so this is kind of going into a completely different realm, but this is sort of a general question. So everything in Solaris 3 has been turned into frequency, right? Because of the lament and these wave-worn phenomena. So people who resonate with these things are the resonators. So Jinji resonates with Jue and Luke resonates with Ika. So what does Rover resonate with? That's the question, right?
Got you. That's a good question. And good questions deserve answers. I actually have something for that. Which is, let's see. Let me make sure I can find it. And if I can't find it, I'll just, I can still say it.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, here we go. The archive, the first resonator report. We found this in Jinzhou, actually. And let me see. Yep, there we go. So yeah, if you and you might even have this in your files.
I
I think
might.
it's in the back.
In the bag.
Um,
The
yeah, I think
backpack.
it's in the back. The first resonator report
Oh, let's see if I
from
can. It'll
Chinchou.
probably be at the very bottom then. Let's see if I can scroll
Yeah,
down.
possibly. It's called
Mm,
Archive the First Resonator. If it's not in the bag, then
I'll
it
see.
probably is just in the Hwashu Academy lab, and you just have to go there every single time to
Right.
do it.
Right.
But
Let's see.
yeah. So if you can find it, then
I'm seeing. Oh, yes, I do have it. I do have it. Okay. Yes, we got it.
awesome. So yeah, so basically in this it tells us Resonator Blank reports amnesia regarding their resonance ability with no clear time of awakening. A tacit
Mm.
mark is present on their right hand. No visible post-awakening physical alterations. Their tacit mark and pupils display a golden halo when they exert their forte. Resonance spectrum test shows strong syntony with multiple patterns.
Mm.
Resonance spectrum tests show strong syntony with multiple patterns. But the cause of resonator blank's awakening remains inconclusive. Further examination is needed to determine the origin of their resonance abilities. Yeah, so basically, kind of everything.
Rover resonates with everything. Yeah.
Like, kind of like Rover just resonate the ultimate resonator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And the first.
that it's almost like if you think about it from the perspective of like a prism,
Right.
right? And like, it's like, you have light and then you put it through a prism and then it breaks apart into other stuff. You can maybe say that like Rover is uh I actually had a theory about this.
Okay.
I had a theory about this. And I'm trying to think. I think it's in the video where I basically say, let's see, I myth spoiled the entire plot of Wuthering Waves. I think it might be in that video.
Okay.
And so basically what I kind of mentioned is the fact that Rover, let me see. Yeah, it is in this video. It is in this video. Um, so yeah, how I myth spoiled the entire plot of Wuthering Waves. This one was done in 3.x, and I go into more details, obviously in that video. But in short, the theory is that Rover is not just like the first resonator in the sense of like, oh yeah, he's the first resonator that we found, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think he might even potentially be like the archetype,
Mm.
or how do I put it? Chisha in the beginning makes like a little statement, right? Where she's just like, and I once again I mentioned that in my one of my more recent videos. Um, but yeah, Chisa basically, I think it was the Abby video. Yeah, the second to last lower video in the playlist,
Right.
which was the Abby video. But Chisa makes a statement. She's like, "Oh, could it be that Rover's the great 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 grand father or grandmother of us all?"
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's possible that Rover is like the blueprint for
Mm.
resonators.
Okay.
And like quite literally think about Rover as the prism in a sense.
Yeah.
And these other variations or parts of the spectrum came as a result of like offshoots
Mm.
of Rover in some form or fashion. Exactly how that plays out is uncertain,
Yeah.
but I like I say that video, how I'm spoils the entire plot, talks about the dreaming deep connections to this theory, and like I said, the Abby video kind of mentions that part with Chisha. So yeah, that is what Rover resonates with. It basically seems like it's everything.
It's everything. Okay. I dropped that video as a link as well to the How
Oh,
I Myth
awesome.
Spoiled the Entire Plot of Wuthering Waves. So again, and guys, if you go onto that, you will find the whole playlist that we're talking about where all of Life Lessons lore videos are on there. So do check that out. If you're interested in lore, watching all of those videos is highly recommended. They are all
Yeah, you will not be
excellent.
disappointed.
No, they will
I
answer
promise.
anything that you're like, oh, what about? What about? Okay, well, speaking of, another question that I think is on a few people's mind here is how does then frequency work? We always hear about frequency in the lore. And is that something that only relates to resonators? Is it only resonators who interact with frequencies and have frequencies? Or does everything have a frequency, but only resonators can kind of make use of it?
Yeah, so I think this goes back to my very first video on in the playlist, which is basically the only Wuthering Waves lore video you will ever need
Yeah.
for 1.0. It's basically the thumbnail says beginner's guide to Wuthering Waves lore. And I kind of break down the concept around frequencies in that, um, which is they're basically DNA. DNA got replaced with frequencies.
Right.
The cellular structure of life, the whole makeup of life is now frequency.
Right.
And so if anything has cells in it,
It has
that
frequency.
used to have cells that has which is everything basically.
Yeah.
Quite literally rocks, plants, what have you, frequencies.
Yeah.
Everything has frequencies. And so can you ask the specific question one more time just so I make
Yes,
sure I
sorry. So
cover it?
the question is basically whether frequencies are only something that resonators can really interact with and use. Like everything
Okay,
has a
yeah.
frequency, but is it only resonators? Is that the whole like the difference between a
The
resonator
ability
and
got you.
yeah.
So sort of, but no. So
Okay.
we actually learned in Jinzhou that we learned this during the war phase. They actually created weapons for non-resonators to use that could manipulate frequencies. So resonators are people who can interact with frequencies on their own, like just through their body. I guess they can turn the frequency into whatever that attribute that they control. Whereas they have found ways with technology to harness frequencies so that, like I said, non-resonators
They could still
now
use
it's not going to usually be as strong, but yeah, they can use it.
Okay. That makes sense. So yeah, I think that answers it in a pretty good way. Everything has frequency. Everything is frequency, really, at this point. But resonators can manipulate, I suppose, or use the frequencies in themselves, whereas another normal person who wasn't a resonator would need a special weapon or an item to allow them to do that.
One other thing too, actually, it connects to the Cyberpunk collab.
Yes.
Those characters. So when in how is it word? How does it go? I guess when in Soul 3, I made a tweet about it actually.
Yeah.
I was like, when you in Soul 3, you play by Soul 3's rules, right?
Yeah.
And so Lucy and Rebecca have tacit marks now.
Right. Yeah. Which obviously they don't in the anime, because why would they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's because they entered Soul 3. And so when you
Right.
enter Soul 3, your composition changes. And so they also
Right.
are frequency beings for the time that they're at least here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and now maybe, you could maybe argue that the change reverses once they go back home, potentially, but
Okay.
that's digging into the weeds a bit much.
But I think it makes sense, right? There has to
yeah.
be an in-game lore explanation for when they come here. How can they, how can we play them as resonators? How can they use abilities like, how do they function as resonators here, even though they are from, somewhere else?
Yeah, intro and outro skilling with
Yeah,
other
yeah.
resonators and
Why do
such.
they have
So
that?
yeah.
Okay. I think that's a fairly good way of doing it, saying, yeah, as you say, if you enter Solaris, then that is what happens. You would become affected by this as well, so they become resonators at least while they're here. I guess a follow-up question to that is, where do you think Night City is then in relation to Solaris? Do you think it's in, like, are they coming from a different place in Solaris? Is Night City in Solaris, or are they coming through a portal or something from a different place?
Yeah, so oh man. I think that how they got here. How they got here is a very big question.
Yeah, I mean that will
I
be
think
answered. I'm sure.
The easier question is, where is this like seemingly Night City version of Solaris?
Yeah.
Now I do have to ask the question: have you played Cyberpunk the game too?
Not a lot. I know a little of it,
Okay,
but I haven't played it.
no worries. Um, it seems to me that it's probably going to be a Sonoro,
That makes sense.
potentially in the Elusive Realm, but at the
Right.
very least a Sonoro because they said Nightmare Tacit Discords, and they or the Somme Noir specifically, um,
Right.
is probably going to be in the Somme Noir
That makes sense.
because they did say Nightmare. I'm just asking if you have a lore video about Kalkaro. One day, I
If
promise.
not, you can make one.
Um, yeah. But yeah, so basically, it's probably going to be in the Somme Noir. And it'll probably be a Sonoro in the Somme Noir, which I just think logically makes sense. But like I said, how they got here exactly is a very interesting question because however they got here is going to be heavily studied because I think that would set up future possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we got here via a Stargate
Yeah.
or, whatever portal. And they're like, oh, shoot, there's another way to get out of Soul 3 then.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Or
so
in.
that's my theory as to how, necessarily how they got here, but however they got here, I think that's the bigger question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
makes sense.
however they did get here, what that means for the future specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bigger question. What does that mean? How they got here? What does that mean for the future?
Yeah. That is an interesting one as well. Okay, we had a really good question here about second awakenings because obviously that's a big theme in the game. Is it necessary to, like, do you need a Sentinel or a Threnodian to be able to have one? And do you need to overclock? Or can you do it in a different way? Is it possible to do it?
That's good. So I would say we actually kind of got our answer at the end of 3.3 part one, which is yeah, you kind of so technically no, you don't need a Sentinel to do it because the Extra Strider was able to
Yes,
do it
that's true.
with Imeth.
Yeah.
But as this Extra Strider said, this was previously undocumented outside of the Sentinel mech series. So it seems as though what I would say is one, do you need a Sentinel? Technically, no, because if you can have a Threnodian Resonator, then the Threnodian
Yeah.
Resonator probably could. Second Resonance Awakening 2, which would be scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have the Sentinels being able to do it. We have the Threnodians seemingly being able to do it. Seems more like a fundamental law that
Right.
just works in Solaris 3. The next part of that, do you have to overclock to do it? I'm going to say no. You might not have to overclock to do it, even though so far the way we've seen it happen was through
Yeah.
overclocking. Technically, it's kind of hard to say because, like, technically, Imeth, like I said, I think it would be fair to say got her second Resonance Awakening when the
Yeah.
Extra Strider gave it to her.
Yes.
Now you still have to remember the Extra Strider is not a Sentinel, so it didn't really have to get permission per se from
Yeah.
Rover.
True. That's why, and
It's
that's
not.
why it could happen.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
not so much why it could, but why it didn't have to ask Rover
Yeah.
specifically. Because it's possible it could have still happened if it asked, but it didn't have to ask Rover in that regard because it's not under the same restrictions, I guess,
Yeah.
as now it did have to ask Rover to change its name, but I think it might have just been being very polite at that point.
Yeah, it was just polite.
Which W Extra Strider. But yeah, so right now, I'd say because she was technically already dead, we didn't really see her overclock
Yeah.
to get that second Resonance Awakening. But the general rule is that you have to. Well, actually, you know what? Let me be very clear. Technically, you do not have to overclock because even Jinshi did not overclock.
Right.
The concern was that you will overclock. You essentially
Yes.
have to be right on the edge.
Yeah. And so therefore
So-
there's a high risk of doing it.
Yeah. So you don't have to overclock to get a second Resonance Awakening, but I think the real question behind that was just the fact of, is it always that strenuous of a process? And that's something we just don't know enough about at the moment.
Yeah. I guess we only have Well, we really only have three examples of it. Well, I mean, because Cantarella had a second resonance awakening, but we didn't see it. We
Hmm.
only heard her explain it, right? So we only have a few examples of that. And I guess, as you said, in Jinchi and Cartethia's examples, we did see them overclock. But it's, was that a necessary condition, or was it more a fact of because of the conditions to be able to do it, they were at the edge of overclocking, or like it just happened, right? Because they were in that
Yep.
perilous zone. Um, can Cartethia have a second resonator awakening? I mean, I don't know at this
Well, no, I mean
point.
that's what she did do.
Yeah, I was going
That's
to
kind
say,
of like the
I
logic
think,
here. She
I'm
did
assuming
have
the
her second
question is, could she
resurrection.
have a third then? Could she have a second one again? I don't know.
Yeah, not likely.
I think, yeah, that might be a bit much.
I mean, because the whole purpose is like you essentially get like essentially like full access or full authority to the Sentinel's power.
Yeah.
So it's like if you already got that, like you kind of arrived
Hmm.
at that point. It's not really much more you can uh like it's kind of like you think about the Sentinel and it's just like I'm tired, boss. Like
Yeah.
I did everything I could. Like what more do you want from me?
Yeah. Bless. Um, okay, I think that was a pretty good answer to that. This is sort of a thing I almost think I can answer on your behalf with a yes. But the question here is, are characters, Sentinels, Thenardians, are there aspects of the lore in Wuthering Waves that are inspired by religion and mythology? I'm pretty sure you have
Ah.
at least one video about this.
Yes, yes, I do. So that would actually be my quote unquote breakout video
Yeah.
um, in the playlist, which was my Antichrist. I call it the Antichrist video. The title's kind of long. The hidden deception that fooled an entire kingdom. This was the video where everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, life
Who
called
is
it."
he?
Um, and yeah, basically, Rina Sita, it's very clear that Rina Sita is inspired by Catholicism,
Hmm.
right? Catholicism's, slash Christianity. And so that's a really clear thing. Um, but even if we were to go a little bit deeper with the Sentinels, so there's this thing called the 28 Mansions, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna kind of explain this to you all from, like I said, this is Wikipedia. You can look it up yourself. It deals with the Chinese constellations, basically,
Right.
and so they can be considered equivalent to zodiac constellations. In Western astronomy, through the 28 mansions reflect the movement of the moon through a sidereal month rather than a sun in a tropical year. Each mansion is roughly a day of the month. A lunar mansion system was in the use in the other parts of East Asia, such as ancient Japan, so forth and so on.
Hmm.
And so um, the 28 mansions, right? A part of that is what we see with Huang Long in particular. So the seven sentinels of Huang Long in particular. They when we were, got the compass, if you remember in the very beginning of the game,
Yeah.
Jinchi gave us that compass and it
Yeah.
had the four cardinal directions on it, right?
Yes.
So you have these four symbols
Actually, yeah.
that were given animal depictions. It's called the Azure Dragon of the East, the Black Tortoise of the North, the White Tiger of the West, and the Vermilion Bird of the South. Um, Shout out to all my Final Fantasy Type Zero players, because that was like a big thing in that game as well. But so yeah, basically that's kind of what we have with the Sentinels of Huang Long.
Hmm.
Essentially, like they're these big four corner type deals with Huang Long,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how they're described. And so there are connections there. Um, there's a lot of things essentially around like even Lahai Roy. Lahai Roy, and I actually talked about that in, I think it's how I misspoiled the plot of Wuthering Waves. Yeah, I did talk about it in that one. I've talked about it in a couple of these videos, but yeah, how I misspoiled the entire plot of Wuthering Waves. I go into depth with it as well. But yeah, Aleph 1, the word, and Lahai Roy, both of those are Jewish words. Um, Lahai Roy is based on this place in the Bible, which is a well, and basically it was called. There's an encounter there. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm getting the exact name right. Here we go. So yeah, it's Bir Lahairoi, and it's the place where Hagar. There we go. I just want to make sure. Hagar encountered an angel and recognized God as the one who saw her in her suffering. And so basically, the quick explanation of this is you have Abraham, you have his wife Sarah or Sarai. There's different ways of Sarah being the English, but Sarah was being mean to Hagar. They said they were both Abraham's wives, and Sarah was being mean to Hagar. Hagar did not appreciate that. She ran away. She goes to a well in the middle of the desert, and there an angel comes and meets her there. And essentially, after getting some instruction and some comfort from that angel, that place is called, she named it Bir Lahairoi, which is the well of the living one who sees me, or well of the living God. A couple different ways of that can be interpreted, but basically, the God who sees me. So if you take off the beer part of Lahairoi, and you just have Lahairoi, it's essentially like the God who sees me, right? And so if you were to translate that into Wuwa terms, that would essentially be like the Exo Strider in a way. At least that's the way that I'm looking at it as of right now, unless we get more information.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the Sentinel, there's no Sentinel in Lahairoi. So the closest thing you have to that, based on how, the people of Soul 3 look at it, and once again, you have to remember the Roya tribe viewed the Exo Strider as a god.
Yeah.
So it's called Lahairoi, meaning, like I said, the God who sees me, the God who saw them. And we actually saw it in 3.3. The Exo Strider basically explained to us, that's so cool. The little bike courses, those are so fun. In 3.3, we see that the Exo Strider basically said, I saw them in their suffering and in their pain. Like, it wasn't an instruction that the Exo Strider was given. It literally said, I saw their faces, I saw their sadness, and I wanted to help.
Right.
And so that's why I said the Exo Strider essentially is Lahairoi.
Yeah.
That's why it called itself.
Yeah.
It wanted to be called Lahairoi because it quite literally was the god who saw the Royan tribe. It's very poetic, actually.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little emotional.
That's really beautiful. But I guess the answer to that question then is yes, there is heavy inspiration from mythology and religion in Wuthering Waves, right? Like there's several things, and I think that's something you unpack quite beautifully in your videos as well. But thank you for summarizing some of those points for us, because honestly, I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about it is that almost not religious, but like taking from mythology, taking from legend, and kind of making it its own. I think that's really nice, and I think that's also why some of the writing feels so recognizable to us, because it's kind of following a format of storytelling, or themes certainly, that maybe we are used to seeing. So yeah, that's
And just for clarity, the term I said beer, it might be bear, like BEAR, like. The phonetics, I'm 100% not going to be 100% on the phonetics. When I do videos, I try my best to look up the phonetics for the words. And you will notice that in the videos where I'll look up the phonetics and I'll pronounce it properly. If I did pronounce beer wrong, I'm trying to remember if it was beer or bear, like kind of like bear, but less on the A, just bear, Lahairoi. But point is, my apologies if I'm saying it wrong. I do usually put a bit extra effort though in the videos where like if I have to
I'm putting you on the spot by just throwing questions at you now. So I think that's we apologize for any mispronunciations, but hopefully you understand the content.
Got you.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, thank you guys. There, yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. But But yeah, so hopefully
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that helps. Um,
Okay, well, I think that kind of brings us into probably our two final questions for today.
okay.
Are the Threnodians truly evil if they are just the physical manifestation of humanity's, dark emotions and darker sides? Because
Ah,
aren't the humans at fault if we think about it? If the Threnodians kind of are born from
yeah.
society, is there any point in trying to defeat a Threnodian when then the people who sort of gave rise to the Threnodian in the first place are still there and will presumably bring another?
Yeah, so this kind of gets into this question of like nihilism a little bit. Excuse me. iMyth mentions something along those lines.
Yeah.
We actually see this theme coming up a couple times in 3.x because iMyth mentions it, even Denia mentions it, Aleph One mentions it. It's like the end is void,
Yeah.
and so why struggle against it?
Yeah.
And this is where this idea of like what it means to live and what it means, like, even though obviously we all know that eventually, we will die. And what happens after death obviously is a question for, on people's minds, and if there
Yeah.
is, what have you. And we all answer those in our own particular ways. Um, but regardless, this current life, at least, we can say for 100% certainty, uh, will not be the same after we die.
Yeah.
We will not exist in this way. And so, with that being said, does that mean that we should just abandon all hope, have, no dreams for the future? It's all whatever anyway. And the answer is unequivocally no. That is not what that means. Um, it is quite literally, and this is what they're addressing. They're basically saying, like, even if we know, and we actually talked about this in the last conversation we had, where it's like you as a voice actor,
Yeah.
right? You knew certain story beats
Yeah.
in the finale, for example, of 2.7. You knew
Yeah.
certain story beats, but just because you knew those story beats doesn't mean that the journey of actually experiencing the whole thing wasn't worth it.
Yeah. 100%.
And so this is the question, and this is why I actually appreciate Wuthering Waves as a game with the concepts that they present, because they are trying to get people to. I said this earlier in the conversation, right around the beginning. When I was younger, my mother, she's an English teacher, currently is an English teacher, and whenever we would watch movies, read books, watch anime, what have you, well, at that time we just called them cartoons because we didn't know what anime was. We didn't know Pokemon was an anime. We just knew it was a cartoon.
Yeah.
But she would always ask me, "What did you learn? What did you get from that?"
Yeah.
And I think with Wuthering Waves, that's what I appreciate. This is why I like talking about story and lore so much, because that's kind of been ingrained in me. Where it's like I want to say, like, what are we actually talking about in this game?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the combat is flashy and the moments are really cool. These are some really epic awe-inspiring moments. But what is the substance of what's being discussed here? And this is what Wuthering Waves is trying to tackle, essentially. They're trying to tackle this conversation of like, in a lot of ways, purpose. Purpose as humanity, as
Yeah.
humans. Like, and so I think that with the Threnodian, why fight them? This is the struggle that Rover, and so, this is what I'm going to say. I actually have a video that I'm working on that is going to answer this question in depth.
Okay.
The plan is to get it out probably like before 3.4.
Okay.
So I would
Soon.
highly encourage you all to check out the channel for that. But in short, I will say that the question of, like I said, human like purpose, and if the end is predetermined, does that mean that the journey still has merit? Rover's actually answered this question a couple times too. But and somebody said it in comments as well, we are basically fighting ourselves.
Yeah.
The Threnodians reflect humanity. And so this is the question you have to ask yourself. And this is why I actually recently, like I said, the last video that I made, I know I'm like referencing these videos, but like these questions are great questions and I have considered them and I have actually addressed them. The last video that I made with Navarro for the thumbnail, we talk about the philosophy of the Grand Architect, right? The philosophy of Rover, like I said, that's going to be in the next video. Well, in not the next video, but the video that comes out before 3.4. But this question of like, how do we handle this threat? The Grand Architect's idea is we got to evolve, whereas Rover's idea, or the hope that Rover has, is that it's a crazy hope. This is why Frolova, that conversation between Rover and Frolova, she was just like, we've both fallen far. What's the point of arguing who fell further?
Yeah.
Like, you might be more obsessed and crazy than I am.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my idea of bringing back my lost ones, loved ones, yeah, this is like a wild concept, bringing all of them back. But your idea of trying to save everyone from themselves, like, that is quite literally one of the most impossible missions I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, he's crazy.
Like this. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what that's the question. The question you're asking is the question of Wuthering Waves. How is Rover supposed to stop the lament via, in theory, saving humanity from themselves?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a very interesting journey to figuring out what the answer that they've kind of come up with is going to be for that.
Yeah. I think they're already kind of, I think they're answering it a little bit, or sort of hinting at it by how Rover has started to reflect, I think, on their own role in things. And yeah, both, their, I suppose, their ability to make mistakes too, their ability to have doubts. I think it's just interesting. But I think if I were to answer that question today, I think, like you, I'd agree, the journey is worth it, even if the end is predetermined. I don't necessarily believe that it is, or maybe it is in this world. We won't know yet. But I think the journey is always going to be worth it, because if not, what else is there? Certainly for people in the real world, we are mortal, and the characters in Solaris are also typically mortal. If you know that you are going to die eventually, but you don't know how or when, would you then just not live? Would you then just sit and wait? I mean, that's not what anyone does, right? We all try and make the most of it. We all, try and do our best. Some people, just pretend it's never going to happen. They kind of live in ignorance or denial about it. And others just see it as the thing that drives them. I'm going to make the most of this. I'm going to work hard, or I'm going to do everything I want to do. I'm not going to regret anything. And I think, in a way, a lot of storytelling, not just Wuthering Waves, but a lot of storytelling seems to imply this idea that if life wasn't impermanent, then wouldn't it have less value? Isn't it the impermanent nature of it that makes it so precious and so special? The fact that we have limited time, the fact that it isn't going to be forever, and that something is always changing. There's always possibility, and it means that times it'll be difficult and there will be darkness, but there's also always going to be light and hope, and that is exciting. This idea of change and possibility really is, I think, also such a big theme in Lahai Roi, isn't it? Like, that's what the Space Trek Collective are trying to do. It's what the Academy's trying to do. Like, it's this idea of pushing boundaries and finding out what else is there, and what can we do, what can we change, what can we experience, what can we explore. And I just think that is probably, to me, what being human is. What can we explore in this time that we have? And it's also why I wanted to be an actor. It's the idea that it is a job that would allow me to experience as many lives as possible, as many things as possible, things that I won't necessarily want to have happen to me for real, but I would still like to experience. And in experiencing those things, hopefully being able to let others experience or consider that thing in a safe way,
Yeah.
And I just think it's so beautiful. It's such a lovely theme about Wuthering Waves, and that honestly is the main reason I have kept playing it for a full year now. I don't play any other gacha games, as I think a lot of you know. Not because there's anything wrong with them, just because I don't have the time for live service games, really. But I've made the exception for this game, and it's because of everything you just said. It's because I think it's such an inspiring theme, and it just makes me feel weirdly positive in a time in a real life timeline that often seems a bit dark and a bit
Yeah.
dystopian, right? And I just think this theme of hope is so beautiful, and it makes me want to keep trying in real life,
Yeah.
but also it makes me want to keep playing and find out what the answer is in this universe. So yeah, thank you so much. That's a really beautiful question and answer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say really quick too. Life is a gift.
Yeah.
You know, life is a gift, and it's somebody said it reminds them of a line: "Summer is only beautiful when you know winter is coming." Coming,
Yeah.
and I think that's very true. I think if you this gets into a whole philosophical conversation, and like I said, that's like I said for maybe another time. I actually already have an idea of some stuff that this concept is going to come up again, but I'll explain that to you personally later, and then for everybody else watching, you all will see what we're talking about at a different time. But with that being said, like I said, life is a gift. Cherish it. I think that good requires evil to exist. If there was no such thing as evil, you can't really have good. It's quite literally just like how that operates. And I'm not saying like something bad has to happen in particular, but the concept has to exist. And so with that being said, because we see like some of the best things that have ever happened in our world happened because of bad things. Because somebody saw the bad and used that to inspire them to do good. And so I guess it's kind of like it's a take on suffering.
Yeah.
And I say this personally as somebody who, without getting into all the details, has suffered a lot in life, a whole lot, to be honest. But that suffering has enabled me to do a lot of good for a lot of people, in my own family and the people who I come in contact with. And so, when you think about charities, oftentimes charities come as a result of like, oh, I had a family member who passed away and they passed away because of this condition. And so now I want to help people who have this condition. And so I started this charity to help everybody so that other families don't have to deal with the same reality as my family dealt with. Stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, I think I'm really excited about, even just with Wuthering Waves, we've seen a lot of really positive change in the real world. I know I think I saw sometime back in the day, I think it was somewhere in Southeast Asia. I don't know if it was the Philippines or what have you, but I remember the Wuthering Waves community in Southeast Asia actually ended up doing like it was some type of charity event as a result of something that happened in the game.
Okay.
I think I also saw something happen even with iMyth. I think it was in Japan. Someone did like a donation to a group for children or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was anonymous, and they just named the person iMyth.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So it's just like, you see, like this, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It is.
Indonesia. Okay, it was in Indonesia. Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful that this game can bring people together and kind of inspire those positive things, right? Those desires to do good things, to do happy things, and yeah, to just help each other. I think that's really, really lovely. And this feels like the most appropriate place we ever could have picked to kind of wrap this stream up, because I feel like that was such a beautiful question and answer that nothing could possibly top it. But on the topic of gratitude and making a difference, I wanted to thank you, Life Lessons, for being here again, to sharing your perspectives and your insights with us. I think that's so generous of you. And I hope that everyone had a really good time here and had some of their questions answered. And if you didn't get them all answered, well, then you know where to go. You definitely should go and subscribe to Life Lessons channel and check out all his other lore videos and future content.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and
Appreciate you.
if you're watching this on YouTube, all the details to Life's channel should already be in the description. But I'm also going to just put all of that in the chat again for everyone here, so you can go and find him on YouTube, check out his amazing content. And as he said, there's loads of stuff coming. Do you want to recap what you're working on that we can expect?
Sure, yeah. So like I said, my videos take a lot of work to make, to be honest with you. And I'm just being a little bit vulnerable with you all. I think live streams are really awesome because it allows for this more close connection, like vulnerable connection. And like I said, once again, if you guys have questions for me as well, there's the channel. We also have like a Discord and things like that where or on Twitter, what have you. I try my best to get back to people. If I don't respond, just message me again. Most times it's just, what have you. But I do my best to be able to to respond to people. If I look at comments and all that, I'll heart the comment at the very least, so I read it, what have you. But like I said, it takes a lot of time. Like if you see my videos, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I would argue I probably have like some of the highest production videos, probably in the Wuthering Waves community. I'm not saying but probably right up there. So it takes a long time to make the videos. So I don't upload every single day. Usually I'll try to work on a couple videos and then get those videos out closer to like the beginning and ends of the patches. So that's just to let you all know, like if you don't see the video that I'm explaining to you right now until closer to 3.4, that's why. But like I said, I put a lot of time and effort in these videos. When you see the videos, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, oh yeah, this clearly looks like it took a lot of time. So the videos I'm currently working on right now, working on some videos for the Cyberpunk collab. I want to kind of talk about, and you might see a certain whatchamacallit. I wanted to make a little funny thing, but I think I'm gonna mess it up. But I'm gonna try. Dutch, you're Dutch, right?
No, Danish.
Danish.
That close.
Okay, Danish was in my head, but then I switched it to Dutch. I promise you, I promise you.
No worries.
I was thinking Danish, and then I switched it to Dutch.
All good.
Okay, cool. Sorry, but awesome. You might see a Danish, a particular Danish voice actor.
Oh, okay.
On one of them. Not gonna say who. But yeah, so Cyberpunk. We're gonna be doing, like I said, I teased it at the end of the Grand Architect video. I teased the thumbnail and the video that will be coming out where we talk a little bit more about Rover and Rover's past, because there's a lot to dig into with that one. But yeah, so you have Rover's past, you have the Cyberpunk stuff, and then there's a couple other ones that I gotta keep secret for right now. But
that's fair enough.
like I said, just be on the lookout for that. I'm also going to be making it I'm going to be making a big announcement. So the next video on my channel might actually be that announcement video.
Okay.
About some changes that we're going to be doing on the channel as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's what I would say you can look forward
to. Okay, well, that sounds pretty good to me, guys. You know where to go and find him, and you know what is coming. And even if you want to go right now to check something out, there is a whole lore playlist on his channel that you can go and watch right now. That should keep you engaged for at least a little while. And I think as well, if you have more questions for Life Lessons, I'm sure Life Lessons could be open to answering them. As he said, you can go and watch some of his videos and you can leave comments with questions about those topics, and he will probably see them at some point and he can try and answer them.
And I stream as well, so yeah. If I'm streaming, you can come into the chat, and people ask questions all the time. We have awesome conversations, and because I know a lot of you guys were asking questions in the chat, but like we already had guys. On the YouTube post, we had a bunch of questions, and so we wanted to give priority to those. But yeah, like I said, if there's questions that you have of me, regarding the lore, regarding my thoughts on the story, because like I said, story and lore are technically different things. They do intertwine at times, but so if you just have whatever questions about that, yeah, like I said, I do stream, so you can also come in and ask questions there too.
That sounds amazing. Well, Live, thank you so much for joining us as always. This was really nice. I think we got a lot of the questions answered, the majority, and there's certainly a lot for people to reflect on. They will know where to get more lore content, and I personally am very excited to see the future videos you've got ready. They are guys. Trust me on this. If you've not seen any of his videos, they are absolutely high quality. They are well crafted, and you will see why they don't come out on the daily, but they are worth the wait. So go and check those out. Go follow Life, support him. We love him on this channel. So, yes, guys, this was so much fun. Have a lovely rest of your day, evening, whatever time zone you are in. And we hope that we will see you again a different time for more Wuthering Waves and lore content. And just to end this stream in the way I normally do, I'm going to go and raid a smaller streamer who is currently streaming Wuthering Waves, the Septimont story. That kind of feels like, why not? Why not? Some more Wuthering Waves content you can go and check out if you want to show them some love. And otherwise, I will just see you next time. So yeah, thank you again, everyone. I am going to start the raid for anyone who wants to go and say hi. And for the rest of us, have a great evening, everyone. Life, do you have any parting words you want to end this on?
Um, Stay hydrated, uh, eat your fiber, stay hydrated. Call your family or your loved ones, tell them that you love them. And if you don't have a great relationship, hopefully you can improve the ones that you have, because family is very important. And it's a very family, friends, what have you, just people you're close to.
Yeah,
Don't go through this walk of life alone. That would be my thing. Don't go through this walk of life alone.
and there you go, guys. There's the life lesson for today. Hydrate, eat your fiber, and don't go through
Merry
life alone.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. All right, guys, take care. See you on the next one. Bye.
Okay.